fitting in the sense of multiple ways. Why are we following the national team? Is it that we need to pick up something, or is that we're following in the sense of trying to improve? Why are we doing what are we doing? Is it just to because we expect something so that we could comment, or are we part of the building process and development process? Are we the trawler, or are we the cigars? Decide on your path, whichever you think is best for you. So always be a leader and try to help wherever you can. All right, so we're back again with our player of the week. Today's player of the week featured member from our club, Mr. Irel Matthias. He has come to the ranks through our club and is now playing with the Premier team. It's one of my favorite players in the club. I've watched him grow and build over the years. I continue to see him flourish and do my best to make him into the best version of himself. So let's take in some of what he has to say.
My name is Irel Matthias. I'm 17 years old, living at Georgetown, Montego. As an individual, I love stay at home, watch football, and play football. I play for Jebel FC. I play in the defense position on the right side, but also can play on the left and center. I got involved in football by a club called ST United. Then I moved to Oria United, where I play in the Caribbean Children under 15 Shield tournament. I have won the Best Defender award in that year. Also, as months and years pass by, I play in different tournaments and won other Best Defender awards. Sport has had a big impact on my life because I learn how to communicate with others in a good way, improve in discipline. Also, it helped me to socialize with others more. My best moment in football is when I have played my first game for my country in the CONCACAF Under-17 Championship in Miami, Florida. My worst football moment is playing football with my brother Nick and Billy, who have passed away on 26 December 2019. R.I.P. bro, I love you. In 5 years from now, I want to see myself playing at the professional level.
So that was none other than our own Irel Matthias, our player of the week. All right, so moving into today's matters. Again, we're going to analyze the game, which featured St. Vincent and the Grenadines versus British Virgin Islands. The points that we're going to look at in terms of our analysis would be system of play, style of play, key players, strengths and weaknesses, patterns of play, as well as the restarts, and we're looking at set plays here, and the referee. Again, so tonight, it's not going to be solely about my analysis, but also I really would like for you guys to share on what you saw during the game, especially in the first couple of slides, where I'm going to be questioning you guys about what you saw and what you thought about the game. All right, so general, these were the coaches, and the game ended up 3-0 in favor of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Alexander in the 10th minute, Zidane Sam in the 20th minute, and Azino Solomon in the 86th minute. So that was the general synopsis of the game. Now move into the specifics. So these were the starting 11 for both teams. On the Vincent side, we had a couple of changes from the first game. We had Mr. Cortland Williams coming in for, I think, Charles instead of Vincy. We also had Mr. Zidane Sam getting his first start in the team as well. Everyone else played the last game. So now the floor is open to you guys. Let's start the discussion as it relates to this particular game. First point we're going to look at was the physical performance of both teams. So I'll leave the floor open to you guys based on what you saw or you observed, if you had a chance to take in that particular game. So the floor is open to whoever wants to start first. We have shy crowd tonight.
Hi, Theon. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna say first and foremost, right? The intensity in both teams not up to par. They can go up against a Haiti or a Jamaica or Mexico, this CONCACAF, right? Transition non-existent, really poor.
Don't go into the technical side. We're going to break down each of them. Just look at the physical. So you could look at the different players, look at the different teams, you could look at the individuals themselves, look at the physical performance. We're going to go to that.
The intensity is not going up for that level of football.
The intensity was very low. All right. Anything else? Anything stood out from any particular player on a physical side in terms of strength, endurance, speed? Anything stood out to you?
I didn't really get in depth to really analyze the game fully.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I didn't get.
I'm gonna bring up the technical and the tactical side as well, so you're gonna come back in as well when that comes up. All right, thanks for your contribution. Yes, anyone else?
Yeah.
All right, so.
If you look at the technical ability.
We reach here yet. We're gonna get it. Look at the physical.
The physical ability comes first.
Yeah.
The physical abilities. That have to do with thinking and actually moving, shifting the pieces.
Mm-hmm. Well, physical would tie into all other particular areas. So.
And you can tell from the movements. The movements. We were either lazy or we don't know how. Okay? Yeah. So.
All right. From the physical side. So for me, at least both teams, we had average to tall defenders in the back on both teams. In the midfield, we had the smaller players, unless, should I say, physical, but they seem to be able to stand up physically in terms of strength against the opposition. Both teams, well, at least most on the Vincent side, the wingers and number 17 for them had some speed. In terms of technical ability, I would say they are number 11 and 7 stood out to me in terms of their ability. Right? In terms of physical, as I was mentioning earlier, we were able to match them in whatever department we could think about physically. All right? So I think if there is nobody else on the physical side, we could now look at the technical side. What do we think about I kind of jumped into it a little bit, but what do we think about the technical performance of both teams? Both teams. Yeah, anyone wish to start?
With the technical aspect, both teams need a lot of technical work you can see that they wasn't technically sound. Pass, Vincy tried to play out from the back, but it's like you make one pass, two pass, and then ball over the top, eliminating the midfield. Okay? And BVI actually did the same thing. So so you can see that both team players are not technically sound. And you can basically see where each team struggle. It's like there wasn't a patient progression. Everything was like a rush.
But while you say everything was a rush, I hope it isn't that you are thinking of the game in the context of how
No. Okay. I'm basically saying that, okay, at the midfield with both teams was not used.
Yeah, I could agree with that. But let's look at dribbling ability to turn, ability to pass, the medium to long range passes.
Okay. With me as a coach, I love to see my players finding the gap, finding that pocket of space. Okay, receiving the ball in that pocket of space and then play. There wasn't much of that. Okay.
So if there's no other point, anybody else as it relates to technical, as Mr. Alexander has jumped into the technical performance, what do we think about the tactical performance? What do we think about the tactics by both teams, systems of, well, we don't need to go into systems because that's a specific part as well. You can also look at the mental performance of the players, the referee's performance, and the style of play. So I've now put them all out there. So let's have the discussion on them generally now. All right. There are several persons here. I'd love to get your feedback on what you saw and what you thought happened during that game. Feel free to unmute your mic and let's jump in and have that conversation. All right. So in terms of tactics and style of play, both teams are similar in the sense that they try to play very direct. They didn't really try to restart play up very slowly. They tried to play most of the time very vertical, and in both cases, they tried to transition as quickly as possible to go forward. General tactics that I saw was Tim Vincy tried to play out of the back and then through the midfield, as well as having some overlapping runs. They tried to create a lot of 1v1 situations on the flanks to eliminate players. The number 2 for BVI, I think he was very good at his passing and reception of the ball, and he was very aggressive on the defensive side. I think he gave Olex a very hard time in the second half, especially when the team shifted around. Olex had some opportunities as well to beat him. I think the number 7 for them showed some level of versatility as he moved from being the attacking midfielder in the first half and then shifted back to play the centre-back role. The 2 defensive midfielders for them, they were very disciplined in sticking in their positions. They very few times they came out of that particular space in front of the defenders. With that being said, it didn't mean that their technical ability and tactical ability was they tried to display anything anything brilliant. It was trying to keep it as simple as possible, keep solid, counter as quickly as possible, and both teams seem to have that philosophy. Mental, St. Vincent seemed as if they were up for the game and they wanted to give a good performance throughout the game. I thought they fought hard to play. I think BVI started a little flat and a little slow. Don't know what that may have been as a result. But in the first 10 minutes of the second half, I thought that they did very well in terms of the beginning of the game and how they approached the game in the second half. The referee for me had a good game. There wasn't any talking point about him, which would mean that he had a good game. And that's just my general views on what I saw in the game. I'll leave the floor open to anyone who has anything else to contribute as it relates to the game generally.
I didn't see the game, but how were the goals scored?
How were the goals scored? The first goal was from a corner, and the player at the front post for the opposition team, I think he missed the ball and missed the keeper as well. And then Olex got a chance to tap in. The second goal was an attack down the left side. And Olex, there was actually a combination play between Kyle, Carney, and Best. And then Kyle played it on inside to Olex, who miscued his shot. And it ended up on the feet of Zidane Sam, who then passed it into the goal. And the last goal was a similar situation where it was, I think, it was a Zeno Solomon who got a shot from a top poke actually outside of the 18. He was 1v1 facing the centre back and he took the shot all from outside the 18. And it was a top poke. And that I think was in the 86 minute. Those were the general ideas behind the goal.
Okay. How would you evaluate the keeper's technical ability for BVI?
The BVI. I would say if we were to rank out of 10, I would give him a 5. He has good distribution, ability to catch. I recognize that sometimes he had some communication issues with his central defenders. Coming off the line, he's pretty good in terms of reading the game. That first goal, I think, was an error. He made a couple of good saves as well, 1v1s against our players. So I would rank him. I would give him a 6 actually. I'll give him a 6.
Okay.
I'll give him a 6. Now that I just actually thought about it. Didn't have a lot of protection in front of him sometimes, but he did well. Because I think he actually saved about 4 1v1. If you want to call it saves, or we refuse to score, but saves nonetheless. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Yes.
The system of play and the tactical performance. I think that both teams was basically they didn't have their performance shows that they were lacking in tactical abilities. Both teams.
And could you give us specific scenarios?
In the sense that okay. With me, I have a strong philosophy of playing out from the back, play through the midfield. If my forward, if I'm making a forward run, then if my defender I can ping a ball over the top of the defense, over the defense, and at least playing a 1v1 is fine. So with the game, it's like everybody was basically doing the same thing. Okay? As soon as both teams make 2 cheap passes around the defense, it's heads up, ball over the top. And so that how come to the style of play and the tactical performance, which is totally Vincy heat, ball over the top, and have guys who are at league that can run onto.
Right. So if that is the case, if you're saying that that is Vincy and they were able to execute that, did they have a good tactical performance based on what they normally do versus did they have a poor tactical performance based on what your expectation is?
Okay. It's like this. With my expectation, I expect to see the ball pass around. I expect to see the ball play through the midfield, use width back in. If you're gonna cross, you cross. And majority of the crosses from Vincy was way off. Majority of the crosses from BVI was way off. So it come back to the technical performance also.
So that's my point. My point is based on what you said earlier. You said that both teams are weak technically. So in saying that, do you anticipate passing game?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. So did they execute what was expected of them? Or did both teams execute what was expected of them? Based on what I saw, which is I can't speak for what both coaches' plan was, but it was consistent that the idea for BVI was to play long down the channels, all right? And it was consistent with St. Vincent to try to play out the back, rotate the midfield, play down the channel to have crosses, especially on the right side from Jogba, which was Hakeem Williams.
Yeah.
So that was the continuous theme throughout the game. So it was a lot less long passes than usual. There was more midfield play. If we were to compare it to the last game, yes, we could say the opponents also would have affected how they played the last game, but you could see a general effort to try to pass it around. What I can say is you recognize that whenever the players felt that they were under pressure, they were not going to play around with it. They were going to go long and play down the channel.
Yeah. But the players should have the confidence that if they're under pressure, to at least play back to the goalkeeper and have him let the ball move from right to left or from left to right.
So can we say, based on the first performance and second performance, we should be looking for that, their third game, because there was an improvement in terms of passing and movement. So the next game that they play, we are hoping to see a lot more mentally prepared players to carry out these kind of tactics and technical aspects that you're saying.
I'm looking for the third game, and as Mr. Jackson said, we can't play like this with with top team in CONCACAF.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the question is, did we play at our level? And Mr. Jackson could come back in here as well. Anyone that is could come in. The fact that we were able to win the game and increase our performance, play better than we did the last time, would we say that this is the level we are at currently? This particular level here, that the last BVI game that we played. Yes, I recognize you expect more intensity. Yes, we expect better technical and tactical performance. But based on what the game gave us, is this the level that we are at currently?
But if you look at the previous games in the CONCACAF Nation League, all the games were similar. We did exactly some of the same thing.
Right, so it's generally that's how we feel. Yes, Debs, you're trying to get in. Any comments on the game as it relates to these topics that we're looking at before we move forward? Anyone else?
As it relates to
breaking up, you there? Jepson?
I didn't get the question. I just getting in here.
Oh, you just get in. I didn't realize. I just saw you pop up, so I didn't know just. So the question basically we're looking at these generally, what they would think about the game as it relates to these specific factors: the physical performance by both teams, technical performance by both teams, tactical performance, mental, style of play, referee performance. And if you're not ready, you could allow Shane to come in at this moment if you're not ready. I could give you some time to collect your thoughts.
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Based on the game, I actually watched it on that Venmo link that I just shared there. And I think that's our level. And expecting anything else would be unrealistic. They executed, as Theon said, what the coach wanted to do. And that guy who plays outside right back, I think you call him Drogba. Mm-hmm. He's one of the better players. Yeah, Akeem Williams. He's one of our better players. And you could see they were trying to use him, use his pace and technical ability down the flank and try to exploit that. The goals were a few, what we call butt-up goals. But the fact of the matter is the player put them in. And Zidane Sam, he showed a lot of composure in that game. I'm not sure what's his natural position, because I think he plays midfield when he plays in the local league.
He plays he would play the opposite side.
So he plays on the left?
He would play inverted position. Basically.
Right, so that's a perfect example of a player who took his chance. He came in as a sub in the first game, and he didn't put a foot wrong in the games that he played. So I think going forward, we'll see similar performances. The most important thing would be players to maintain their composure and use this experience going forward, especially the experience from the Curacao game, where it went behind early, made individual mistakes, and understanding that it's just a game, right? And know what they're good at and what they're not good at. As Alexander said, he likes teams that play out from the back. But again, that's not realistic, right? Especially when you have a lot of players who don't play together, who have different technical levels, and don't have that composure. So sometimes you just gotta lump it out if you feel under pressure, because you don't want to concede a goal and have the entire nation criticizing, because that would not do their confidence any good. So we'll see more performances like this. We'll see a few butt-up goals, but over time, we'll get there. And in this game, we saw what Worldcup was trying to do. In some instances, work with the combination play, especially with Kyle and Connie. I must say, I was impressed with Kyle. He showed a lot of composure, especially his back to goal, and he didn't rush the play. He often held his head up and looked for the correct pass. So Kyle and Zidane, in my opinion, were the two standout players.
Along with Akeem, according to you.
Yeah. He's the best player by far. He's very consistent every game I've seen.
Yeah, he was consistent. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. What club does he play for?
Well, he's really originally from Hope FC,
Okay.
but he's really in Antigua at the moment, so
Okay.
he's more or less over there most of the time. I don't think he's played a local game in the past 2 years, actually. I think most of the games he has played would have been in Antigua.
And how old is he?
Probably about 25, 26.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you.
No problem. All right.
Let me just touch on something.
Go ahead.
Okay. I know how the team just put together. The team was together for say 6 weeks, 3 weeks in camp. But playing out of the back, playing through the midfield, it comes down to coaching. It has nothing to do with individual players. Once you coach it, you can play it. That's just my take on it.
All right, I respect that opinion. Right, Debson, you ready for us?
Sabo, wait.
Go ahead, Gavin. Go ahead, Gavin.
So playing out the back time too now, because when Pep Ben just go Man City, they main master like it one time. It just take a little time for soaking.
Okay, very good point as well. Debson, anyone else want to comment before we move forward on the general aspects of the game, before we break it down into the thoughts and different aspects that we saw?
So listen to some of the views of others. A lot of areas that I could comment on, and I will do so later, but I'll go on the playing out from the back, since that's a key topic here.
If you wanna wait, because we're gonna do that as a particular part of it as well. If you wanna wait.
Tonight?
Yes, as in that's how I'm gonna break down the game. Playing out the back, playing through the middle third, playing the attacking third. So if you wanna wait, not a problem.
Nah, just something short. I think there were some good aspects where we spread the ball, utilize the right back and the left back. But then a lot of times we were trying to make the magical pass through the midfield or directly into the forward players. And it didn't cost us, but there were a few blunders where against a better team, we could have been punished. So that's just something to say on that. But we have a few practice games that are coming up. I think they're going to play open preparation for the club shield. So hopefully they can work on these things and be better prepared by the next round of games.
We could only hope. All right, anybody else? And here's where we're going to start tonight again. So we're looking at the build-up phase for BVI. And obviously, if it's the build-up phase for BVI, it would be the defensive phase in the attacking third for St. Vincent. So anyone want to start before I start to compliment what it is I saw? So it was basically, we're looking at BVI's build-up. Yeah, I got the general idea from most of you, what you thought. But is there anything else you recognize? So for me, at least, this is what I saw here. So the red would be BVI and they're coming down the field. Blue would be St. Vincent. So the general shape of the team would have been similar to this. How St. Vincent tried to defend them and how they tried to play. So again, long ball kicks mostly from them. They played down the middle or down the channel. Whenever they went short to a centre back, the second or third pass would have gone long down the channel on either side. So that's basically how they tried to come out from the back. There was no use of the midfielders to play out. There's no rotation, no type of movement. It was always played over the midfield into whether it is the 9, the 17, the 11, or if you want to call it positions, it would be the 7, 9, or 11. Right? Similarly, Vincy, on the other hand, how they approached it, they played a mid block for me at the beginning of the half, and as the half progressed, they started to press a little higher. They even ended up at the 18-yard box. I think this happened because BVI at one point started to spread, and this was interesting to me. They spread the field to play short, and then they went long. That in itself was an interesting ploy for me from the BVI. Normally, when the goalkeepers pass the ball and you want to go long, you shift the team one side and then you push everybody up. But it was interesting that they spread the field as if they were going to play it short, and then they actually went long. I think this influenced Vincy team to press up a little higher because they recognized they could have won the ball if they played it shorter. Not much defending had to do as BVI went long most of the time. All right, in terms of, is there anything else anybody would like to add at this particular point in that particular zone before I continue? All right, good. So we can move on. All right, in terms of transition, so transitioning from defense to attack. So once Vincy won the ball in this particular area, they tried to penetrate or move forward by dribbling or passing. With they mostly try to use Olex or Zidane in this particular case and have the overlapping run from Akeem once they won the ball in that particular area. On the other hand, when the opposition had to transition from attack to defense, they tried to pressure and delay immediately. Common trends in this particular area, BVI play a lot of long balls into the middle third, down the channel, and try to play for the second ball. I wouldn't say that they were set up for the second ball, but they were playing for the second ball. Vincy had a lot of attacking movements. Final passing and finishing could have been better. Teams played direct football and completed each attack with a shot. And Vincy also had up to 5 players getting into this third. So those were the general trends that I saw from this particular zone of the field. Any comments before I move forward as it relates to this particular area? All right, so we can move forward again. Good, so now we're in the middle third, but we're looking at it in the context of BVI having the ball in the middle third and Vincy Heat having to defend. Same general concept again from BVI. Once they had possession in this particular area, they tried to go long down the channel or make the big diagonal switch. It happened on both sides of the field, no matter what it was. Generally, you could also see the shape of Vincy Heat. They played 4-5-1 when they were in their defensive shape. Kyle tends to stay high, where the other strikers try to drop deep and create a line across the field and try to keep the team compact. That was recognizable. So again, long passes down the channel, diagonal passes to the flank. Those passes were from the center backs most of the time. No use of the midfielders or playing through the midfield. Vincy Heat played man-to-man marking around this particular area. Aggressive pressing whenever the ball was there. Played for the second ball because he recognized as well that they were trying to play the long ball, so they kept dropping off in the back. When they had good pressure and cover situation, they won the ball with the balancing player most of the time. So once they rushed the player who was about to make the pass, the balancing player, whoever it was at that particular time, usually gets the ball free, and they were able to play out from there. Any comments, any questions as it relates to this before I progress?
Right. How successful were the midfielders and the forwards on BVI receiving long balls when they had opportunity?
Not very successful. Not very successful. Even in these long ball situations, most of the times, it was a 50-50 ball. It was never a ball driven directly to a player where they could do what they needed to do. And even when it was driven to them, as was mentioned, technical ability was best. You receive and then play. The strategy really didn't work for them. And secondly, as I mentioned, while they were playing the long balls, there was the shape that they had didn't allow for them to win the second ball because they were so spaced out that they could not get the second ball. On the other hand, Vincy were compact, so they were able to receive the second ball once it went long.
So they were able to implement what you were discussing in some of the previous read the games.
Yes. So
in March.
Vincy was able to implement some of them in the case of the long balls.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
On the defensive
on the defensive side. Yes, on the defensive side. On the defensive side.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Right. Good. So what did I see in terms of transition and the common trends that I saw? So again, Vincy tried to penetrate by dribbling and passing to the farthest player ahead. And they were very direct. So whenever they won the ball in this particular area, they tried to penetrate immediately. And they look for the farthest person ahead. It may have been Olex on one side, it may have been Zidane on the opposite side, it may have been Kyle down the middle. Whichever it was, they tried to get to them as quickly as possible, and then they tried to be direct and play on the counter. The inverse, BVI, once they lost, they immediately tried to put pressure on the ball by the closest player. The back two always dropped for the long ball, and the wing back picked up the markers. This was something that was very evident. They didn't give our wingers a chance to get much space once they didn't have possession, because it actually didn't really move up the field that much, their wingers. It was stay back. They would stay back majority of the game to pick up our wingers. Common trend, constant interchanging of possession in this particular area. A lot of technical breakdowns by both teams. Both teams wanted to get into the attacking third as quickly as possible. So those were the general trends that were recognized in this particular zone. Anyone else before I move forward into the other part? Okay.
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
In terms of the transition and us being direct. Well, of course, it fits into our game plan, our traditional strong areas of being able to run the flanks and use speed on the front three at least. But there were a couple of times when we tried to make that direct pass where one or two extra passes in the midfield would have created a better angle and would have been able to try or play a better keep possession and get a higher percentage pass rather than trying the magical pass from force and losing possession sometimes.
I agree with you there. I think Curacao kind of showed us a good way of doing it. We only make this pass when it is a safe pass, when we could guarantee that it's not 50-50. If not, we try to rotate out of that particular area and try to make a safe pass to move forward. As you said earlier, sometimes we tried these particular passes and where we lost the ball and the shape the team was in, a better team would have punished us. And I would agree with that particular point.
Theon,
yes.
It's the same thing I said in the beginning. Breaking of the lines. Breaking the lines. Playing within that gap. Okay? I mean, we wasn't taking risks. Like we were basically looking for the free passes. It's like if somebody's opening space, okay, that's where I'm gonna pass it. instead of breaking the lines, passing the ball between two opponent players. We wasn't doing that. And it come back to the same thing. It is something that we have to do in training, breaking the lines.
Yeah. I also have a question. So most of these passes that we're talking about, were the errors in decision making, or were the errors of a technical aspect? So for example, did they make the right decision to make the pass, but it was just a technical error? Or was it that the decision to make the pass was the wrong one? So that's
okay. The decision to make the pass, I think it was a technical error in the sense that there wasn't no speed of play. The speed of play was basically over the top, and have some and have a player, a fast player, runs onto the ball. If we have like technical players where you can play to them and we can pass the ball out of the midfield like 1, 2, and 4 touch and 2 touch passes and movements of the ball and all those things.
So that's my point. My point was, when they're making these passes or the attempt to make the pass, was the pass available to be made, but it was a technical error where the player was unable to execute the pass? Or it was that the pass was not available, but they still tried to make the pass? So did we recognize a lot of technical breakdown, or was it the decision making of the players to make the pass that was the error?
The decision making, it was basically both. And okay, the decision making to make the pass, we played scared because we recognize that basically St. Vincent don't have no technical ability person in the midfield.
I don't understand what you mean by that, but if you could elaborate what you mean when you say that.
Okay. We don't have a prolific number 10 where he can receive the ball and make things happen. We don't have a prolific number 8 where he can take the pressure off the defense, where you can actually play through the midfield.
So with that being said,
yeah,
you kind of have me a kind of win, all right? You know, explain all that to me, but then you're looking for the team to play through the middle and split between the lines and compose themselves and play reverse passes and that kind of stuff. So you have me a kind of win now, trying to understand how it is going to happen if you're saying that there's no prolific midfielders, the 8s can't really pressure the 10, can't create. So help me to understand how it is then you expect the team to play.
The team played with the product they have.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, me, from a coaching aspect, I'm telling you what I saw and what was expected.
So what is expected is based on what they have or what you think they should have?
I can't go into details. Because if I go into details about development of players,
we're not talking development of players. We're talking about one specific game. What we
but this specific game shows these specific games shows where we are as a nation.
Yes, okay? And I agree with you. It shows where we are. It shows where we are.
I'm done there.
Okay. All right.
But could I jump in?
Yes, sir.
It's not our style of play to play to the midfield. And we could have seen that from the selection of players. So Scrambler, I don't think that your views to, your system of play is from the defense to the midfield. Then you pass it to the final third, to the players up front. Our style of play is like that. Our style of play is by passing the midfield. So there's no need for us to play in the midfield because that's not our style of play.
And still, I'm a little, y'all have me a kind of way still because in this particular game, I thought we did use the midfield more often than not.
Listen,
in my opinion.
When we come out to the back, it doesn't matter if the left back have the ball, the right back, the centre back. They all kicking the ball up front. There's not a system of play. Everybody in a rush to get the ball up front for whatever reason. And this is our style of play. I mean, it's true that, we went a little bit more in the midfield than the previous game.
Okay.
But I can't have a team that everybody, especially players running back, passing the ball 50, 60 yards up front. Against good players, against good teams, like QSO, we pick it off every time. But because, BVI was a little bit more inferior, But this is our style of play. And Scrambler, you cannot change that, however you want to play in terms of, that's not our game. So between now and 2 months from now, that's not going to change. It's not going to happen in practice. It's not going to happen in the games. So just get accustomed to it.
All right. Anybody else before we move forward?
Good night, Theon. Good night.
Good night, Patrick. Yes, sir. I'm good. I can't complain.
Good. Just one question as we go forward, because, playing to our strengths. I know Kyle is a big fella, right? And I've never really seen him play because I didn't see him play.
For me, he's not big, eh?
He's not physically big.
He ain't big. For me, at least, no.
He looks very big and against how tall is he?
He's about 6.
Huh?
He's about 6.
He has to be about 6. When I see him stand up next to Corn and them fellas, he has to be about 6'2". Anyway, the big strong fella. Is there any deliberate attempt to go to the wings and find him with crosses? First thing.
So I could answer. I could answer.
Yeah, you can answer.
So for me, I don't think there should be a strategy because to be honest, in all of the games that I've seen here in St. Vincent, I've never seen us with any prolific headers off the ball.
Okay.
And if we're talking crossing, most of the goals are scored here locally is crosses on the ground or crosses played back. Not those that are crossed in the air for somebody to run on and head. So it's not necessarily a tactic that we flourish with here.
Right. That's the one. That's why I asked his size and if he's a good header. So obviously, but that's a common thing throughout the Caribbean. And again, I always keep repeating, if we are to beat the big teams, we got to be good in the air, not just offensively, but also defensively. That's very, very important. And I think where St. Vincent is now, it's good. We do well against BVI. We need to start thinking about a strategy and the players we use and how we will train the team to beat the Mexicos and the USAs. That should be our strategy. If you can't do that, we're not going anywhere. And this is see what we have, examine them, and you have to train your teams the way you want to play and beat these guys. I think one of the biggest things that we suffer from is confidence. Confidence. Even some of your coaches don't believe it can happen. So you need to start with the coaches, okay? Let them know. And I repeat this all the time. So that's one of the things that I think we need to really work on. Belief in the players, give them the confidence, remind them that it's mano. Reputations, professionals, because when I hear us preparing for games, all we talk about is how much professionals is on the other team, how good the coach is on the other team. Let's focus on what we have, because coaches don't play the game. Players play the game. It takes 11 players in a 90-minute period in a very specific area. Focus on what you could do within that time. And if you do it right, if you get the most out of your players, you can beat anybody. But it has to be confidence, it has to be well planned, and we have to put that in the players' head right now. Don't make them believe that they can't go to the next level. But I didn't see the BVI game, so I can't really comment much on it. But I thought maybe Kyle looked big.
There's a link in the chat. If you want.
In the chat? I'll try to find it. I'll find it before we leave.
Patrick, I'll send it to you, Patrick.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Sammy. Yeah.
I believe it. Okay. Could I just jump back in?
Go ahead.
I look at the team since last year, in the tournament last year, right? And we score how many goals? 4? Maybe 5?
Yeah. Thereabouts.
And I'm wondering, how are we going to score goals? How? There's not a system of when we're going forward that we can recognize that our team do over and over and over and create goals from that system of play. And I mentioned that to the coach already. When we going how are we going to score these goals? How?
So if we look at the last game, would you say that there was a better idea of how we can score goals?
No, most of our goals
comparatively to past games.
Most of our goals come from maybe a mistake from the other teams. For example,
how the Qs just score their goals against us. But go ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's your question now. Really?
Yeah. Wasn't it errors from us? Or was it errors that we provoked? Or was it errors that the team provoked? Any goal that scores is an error. Has to be an error because
no. Okay, guys. I was fortunate, right? Just below, when I was coaching at St. Francis, just below my office was a basketball court. And we as coaches, right, we have to look at basketball. Every possession is leading up to 2 points. And all the possession is valuable. Look at basketball tonight. Look at the possession. From one side to the other, there's a point guard who should be our center midfield, who always have the ball in his hand. He makes the decision. He has the skill. And our soccer has to be the same way. They're solely responsible. And we mentioned that on the Zoom a couple of weeks ago for the past 3 weeks. Every position, there's a responsibility and a way of play that all players, should be able to carry out if you want to be on the team. Most of our players, as we mentioned in the Zoom on prior weeks, they're not contributing to their position of play. For example, our center midfield, I am not seeing any control of the whole game. I'm not seeing the game ball to the left midfield, right. He's not controlling the whole tempo of the game. And I would think, and that's not our style of play. So the ball is always away from the center of the field. The ball is never in the center. So we don't have an even distribution of play on the right side, the left side, up the middle, and that's a problem, I think, when you're playing against good teams. So
I just want to add to that. Yeah, just to add to that, Sammy, I mean, you're correct. And I think the players need to understand that what goes along, the role of certain positions on the field, the roles, certain positions, and then now you have to just take the best player that you have in the camp to try to do that. In other words, you're looking for a schemer. You're number 10. He should know his role, runs he can make, what he can do. And now you turn around, you find the best person to be able to do that. And so your whole game has to be very deliberate. You can't go out there and say, well, let's just defend, let's get it. It has to be a bit more deliberate than that.
But Patrick, Patrick.
And those things have to be coached constantly.
Patrick.
Yes.
Remember, our style of play, right, is more or less a defensive, trying to get the team play.
So, Sammy, I know what you're saying, how you see it now, but let's just start from scratch.
Right.
Ask yourself, what does it take to beat the US? Start there.
What?
Okay. Right. No.
Can I pose a question differently?
Yes. Okay. And
I'm gonna try to pose it differently. Does the way our style of play, and let me break it down into quick transition, using the wings, skillful players in the middle, can that particular style of play beat the better countries in the region?
No.
Let me just say, let me answer that. There's certain things that will beat anybody. If you have speed, you can't teach that. Caribbean players are just as fast as US players and Mexican players. That's one thing. Let's start thinking about that now. Getting some speedy players and speedy in the game. Secondly, I don't know if anybody saw Dominica game. Caribbean players, them black fellas, are usually bigger. You have to have a level of physical play when you play the US and Mexico and Guatemala. They are smaller than us physically. They are. I see some fellas from Dominica. I see the Vincentians. They're big. We need to use that. Use our size. Use our strength. Okay? Use our intensity. Those are the things that you're gonna need to beat the US. The other biggest thing you have to need to beat the US and those teams, simply because you don't have their experience, you better prepare to outwork them. How do you outwork somebody? Fitness, organization in your press. When to press, where to press. You mentioned that they stayed compact. That's great. You're not gonna win games if you're too spread out. Teams will play through you. You've got to be compact around the ball and then have that bigger circle around. So those are things you have to look at. Find size. And I don't mean somebody big just because he's big. Big, but he can play. Find size.
Patrick.
Let me finish. Find size. Find walk rate. Find speed. Right? Those situations, if you use them well, they could overcome a lot of experience that we don't have, and you got to do that. And I think for other positions, I think we have enough players that are technically sound. Soccer is a game of moments. Once you put a team on there and they start to see a little bit of success with a press and walk rate, you'll be surprised. What could come out of that. And this is where we have to start. We can't just go play the game. Use what we have and know exactly what you need to beat these guys. I mentioned air balls. So if we can't hit the ball, and you say that, then we need to start practicing it every day. You know, it's not hard. Jovan comes up and he seems to be a decent head of the ball. Sutherland, you know, so these are some of the things that you have to look at when you're planning your game and when you're picking your team and so forth.
Guys,
any team that has a Corny and a Olex on the wings, guarantee you, there's going to be a lot of wing plays, there's going to be a lot of crosses in the box, whether high or low, and men crash in the box with a big fella in the middle.
But Patrick, I mean, when we look at the teams there, the two games, right?
I saw one.
Right.
I saw the first.
We want Olex to get the ball around the 18.
Analysis of Vincy's game on the weekend. Zoom meeting.
Go ahead. Yeah, we want Olex and Corny to get the ball just outside of the 18. We don't want them to get it at the half line.
Can I just stop you right there, Sammy?
Yeah.
Since you mentioned the half line, here's one of the problems I have with Olex and Corny. When they pick up the ball at the midfield, they want to start dribbling towards the goal when the whole defense is set up there. They need to be able to get the rest of the team involved in the attack. You can't run away and leave them.
No, okay.
That's a problem they have.
No, look, the reason why, okay, Patrick, the reason why they have this problem, right? Because the two guys who play in the center of the midfield,
right?
They are just there to pressure the ball. They are not there to give these guys the ball.
I think what the coach needs to tell them, when we have the ball, we're in offense. Don't worry about them. Worry about where we are moving with the ball. We have to worry about what we do. When we have it, we're in offense. Let them worry about marking us. And you're right. We seem to run away from the ball. I don't know why we seem to, one gets it and we run, most of us run away. Why are we running away? Come and create the triangle around the ball. If you can turn a man, tell you turn, you look for the next triangle and the next triangle and the next triangle.
They do like that defense going. They do like that defense, eh?
Well, yeah. Well, you're talking now.
In the sense that we're actually talking about Vincy defending, but we have reached into the attack. Don't get there. That's my point.
No, but I think it's the way the conversation goes. You could come back and do that. That's fine.
No, I have no problem. I'm just making a general observation.
Yeah.
General observation. So, with the answers that I got from you guys, are we saying that our philosophy needs to change?
Yeah.
Because we have emphasized over the years that what we're good at is having speedy wingers, the ability to exploit them, and having a skilled midfielder. That's not enough for us to progress in the CONCACAF region.
Our size too. Size is important because we have big fellas who can play and strong men who can play. Size.
I could also draw reference to Mexico and their size and our players who are very big. When they played against us, what happens normally? It comes down to technical and tactical ability.
That's true too.
So Theon,
I see your hand. I'll let you in just now, Vicky. I see your hand. Go ahead, Alexander.
You just basically hit the hammer right there on the nail. Technical and tactical ability. And I'm just asking a question. Where do those functions come from?
But those are givens, though. What I'm saying is, those are givens. You can have a certain level of technical and tactical. I'm just saying, in addition to that, we need to pay attention to our speed, our walk rate, and our size.
Patrick, you basically say that those are givens. So are those coachable?
Yeah, of course. Tactics is all coachable. Tactics, coachable, and repetition.
And technical.
Technical is a little bit harder because, I mean, that's actually, that stuff you should learn at that level. You should know how to do it at that level. But still, you based on the situation you have, you could walk around that. This is why I say You've got to be fit and you have to outwork so you could shut down space. If you can do those things, I think you have enough technical.
Patrick, there's a contradiction. Fitness and technical ability. Okay?
Why is there a contradiction? Fitness has to do with technical ability.
There's a contradiction because you can take a stand somewhere and make a good pass.
You could take a what?
You can stand up somewhere on the field and be able to run at least 10 yards and make a good pass.
Okay.
So I'll make you know put on a physical education cap at the moment. When you talk about fitness, right? You have to be careful.
So physical ability is like technical outruns the physical ability.
What I'm getting from Patrick is this: our strengths, we enhance them, but we focus on our strengths to beat the team, but we have to be on par tactically and technically with them. That's what I'm getting from Patrick. But we have to use what is our strengths, which would be the size and the speed.
And let me just add to that. If we could use those little things that we have the advantage in, it would have it would help our lack of technical and tactical ability too.
But the work rate
and the ability to shut down space and to stay compact. When you deny space, you don't let them do things. And then, which means that a lot of times you win the ball high up the field, you have a shorter way to go. You know, you finish it, and that's how we have to think about it as well. You see? So it's a lot of things. Of course, you have to have a level of technical and tactical ability to play the game. Because eventually you got to make passes, you got to receive long balls, you got to do your dummies, and you got to make runs off the ball. Somebody steps into the space. So those tactical things, yeah, that's a given, and you could teach that.
Guys, listen to me now.
Hold on.
Let's Vicky.
Hold on, Vicky, go ahead. Go ahead, Vicky.
Yeah, so what I was going to first ask before, what it really was when Patrick was saying that you can't teach speed. When you said that, you mean you were referring to, say, for example, starting with the base, like a genetic base. You have two people and they start with how they were born, but then you can build on that, or what did you mean when you said that?
Are you talking? I heard part of it, Vicky.
When you speak about speed, when you say you can't teach speed, are you looking at it from the context of?
Yeah, the physical speed.
The genetic.
The physical speed, yes. Hey, and here's an example, the physical speed. I know I got speedy men up top, fast breaks, one, that's all you need to get behind the ball. Secondly, I make a few passes in the midfield. A lot of teams are going to play high. They're going to come to the midfield line when they're pressuring you. If you have a man in the center and you use the space behind, you got a corner in the center circle, and you could neatly drop a ball behind the defense. That's the kind of speed I'm talking about. Not necessarily speed of play. That's a whole different situation, Vicky. But I meant the physical.
So like on a short-term basis,
we to be able to utilize that. Excuse me?
Right. Like on a short-term basis, when you're preparing for, say, a game in 3 weeks, at that point in time, really developing speed is not going to be something that you should focus on.
No.
You're not be in 3 weeks. You're not going to be able to teach somebody speed. They're not going to be able to develop speed, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, Vicky, we're not teaching.
You're not talking about from development from.
No, what I'm saying is
right in short term.
Did you hear me? No, I'm saying,
go ahead.
No, these guys are fast already. We naturally have speedy players. Your coaching job now is to create situations so they could use that speed. Create situations where they could use that speed. You're coming out of a corner kick and the keeper gets the ball. The other team's big men defense, they're down to do headers. So Corny shouldn't be in the box. Olek shouldn't be defending. They should be at midfield. And one of them should be in the center circle with maybe one or two fullbacks that they can leave behind.
But Patrick,
So
I mean,
you set up your team so that you could use the advantage that you have. You have big fellas. You know, well, teach them to head, because if they could get up with their size, things can happen.
Patrick, Jan Scramblin is not the coach. The coach.
Sammy, we're not talking about that now. We're talking about how we see what we should do. Just suggestions. That's all we're saying.
Listen. The coach pick his team.
Right? We're really not even talking about the coach, you know. We're talking about how St. Vincent, we see St. Vincent and what we think they should do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You and Scramblin are the coach.
Well, we know that, Sammy.
Right. The coach. Okay. What we should do, right? And I can't believe I'm saying this really. We have to allow the coach. The coach has another 3 games this year in June, right? And we have to allow the coach to implement his game, and he's doing that. He said that. He talking about the tactics. You know, he is pleased with the improvement of the BVI game. So 2 months from now, we're gonna have 2 more players coming in, right? When those two players come in, one is a forward, so that will be 10 forwards. We have 10 forwards. We have eight defenders. That's 19, right? So he's not looking to play midfield and all that kind of stuff, you know. He is playing his game, so he chooses players. He chooses players.
Sammy, I know that, you know. I know that. I understand what you're saying. We're not telling him what to do. He's the coach.
What you're saying then?
But what we're saying is, Sammy, first of all, like what I said is what normally a coach would do. See who you have, see your advantages, and how you can use them in a game. It's as simple as that.
He knows that. He knows exactly, you know.
Maybe he knows that. Fine. I saw one game. I'm just saying, in order to beat the big teams, Sammy, these are the kind of things you have to do. I think there are a few Mexicans as fast as Corny.
Forget about the Mexicans, you know. We're playing Cuba. And what's in the, we're playing Guatemala.
Sammy, you coach your team to play the best teams. And if you can do that, you'll beat everybody else below.
We're playing 2 more games. And we're playing Haiti.
Yeah.
All right, Sammy. Let's go again. So let's go again. Let's move forward with some of the other tactics that were recognized in the game. But great discussion, great points thus far from everyone. Even in the chat as well, I recognize that you guys have some good points coming out in the chat. Now, in terms of St. Vincent, BVI build up in the attacking third, what they tried to do in the attacking third versus what Vincy he tried to do in their defensive third. This is what I recognize. At least this was the general shape that I saw when the ball was on the left or the right. BVI, for me, tried to play some combination play on their left-hand side and try to get across. That's what I saw them try to do. On the opposite side, the number 17 generally tries to pick up the ball and run at the defense. And if he gets a chance, he tries to cross. Their numbers were quite low inside the box. Their 6 and 8 usually stay deep, as well as wing backs. I think they were there in anticipation of the counter-attack. So most time the team would be seen in a shape like a 4-2-4, basically. That's the general idea that I saw. So the 11 and 17 actually, and well, the 14 is there because he came on in the second half. They give the team width, wing play, with attempt to cross. From the left, which is 11, which I mentioned, the 14 tried to play 1v1 dribble inside, the 9 tried to play back to goal. That was recognizable. Few opportunities in that particular third. I think the second half, in the first 10 minutes, they actually looked a bit more threatening than they did in the first half. In terms of Vincy in this particular area, again, Kyle remained high. With 9 players below the ball, they attempted to get everybody below the ball. The midfield line, they actually tried to play 1v1 or mark off 1v1, and in some cases zonally. And they tried to create 2 lines of a 4-5, basically 4 in the back, 5 in front. And the back line, they generally try to protect the space behind. So those are the things that I recognize in this particular third of the field. In terms of transition, what took place here, in terms of transition from defense to attack, what Vincy tried to do was to penetrate using a long pass down the channel, the center back, and they tried to be very, very direct. That is what was recognized. Divya, on the other hand, when they lost possession of the ball at this particular time, those who are close to the ball, they tried to press. The 11 and the 2 and the 6 always drop for the long ball, and they push the team back or to the side. That is what they were trying to attempt in terms of their transition. The trend, the common trend, Vincy played for the second ball and won most 1v1 duels and tried to counter attack. They completed each attack with a shot or an attempt of a shot, and they always had 3 players in the box. And this is Livia on the other hand. This is what they try to do in every scenario. Any comments as it relates to that particular area of the field? Vincy defending in their defensive third and Livia attacking in their attacking third. Right. Now, on the other hand, we're now moving to the build-up play for Vincy Heat in the defensive third and BVI defending in their attacking third. So what was recognized is that there was a clear effort in the first half at least to play using the midfield. We had a bit of rotation. So when the ball was played to Sutherland, we saw the centre back split and Spring tried to drop in, whereas the 8 tried to get possession of the ball. 14, which was Akeem, tried to go high up the field, and Zidane Sam tucked into the pocket, trying to receive back to goal to play either to Carney or Kyle, and then they move forward. On the opposite side, if Jamal got the ball, the intent was more of one to play long. A lot of time, the Spring would pick up the position of the left back to receive the ball wider, whereas Cortland Williams split the defense, and we had some rotation there. The number 10, which is Alexander, would drop into the pocket to receive, or Kyle, or even Carney to try to play out from the back. Those are the general concepts that I saw. Play out from the back with short passes or long ones. The long one came whenever they thought they were under pressure. Short pass the defender with high wing backs and midfield split center backs, while the other support to receive passes. If midfield was not available, Zidane or Alex would receive the ball. Ball over the top was down the channel, and that was the last option that I recommend. So how did BVI come up against this? They tried to have a mid block, and they press with 3, a wide 3. Not as effective as Turiso. And they tried to have close and compact lines in their particular block that they tried to have. Any comments, anything as it relates to this particular area here?
I have a question. You said play through the midfield, and then when they feel they're under pressure, they play over the top. Okay? Is it possible that when we are under pressure, we could have played back the ball and and keep it, and then we build up from the back. Was that possible?
Was it anything is possible if that was the plan of the coach? I don't think that was that. At least that wasn't really evident a lot. What I could also say is that DVI played technically with a slightly high line. So even in playing the long ball, if it was executed correctly, it could have been an advantage. But yes, I could also see, as you're saying, that we tried to recycle the ball and go the opposite side. But I don't think that was the style or the way that they wanted to play.
Okay. All right.
I really think,
yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think the past national players, right? And they know who they are. And the players and the coaches who, like Scrambler, even me, who believe in playing out of the back to the midfield and stuff like that, right? We are hoping that this current Vincy team is going to play that way, and it's not going to happen. You understand? You all have to get it. You all have to get it in your mind that it's not going to happen. We're not going to see a lot of playing out of the back. You're not going to see a lot of possession. You're not going to see a lot of organized transition and stuff like that, guys. You're going to just shoot out of the window. Okay? What you're going to see defensively, as we said before, is that they try to push the team in one corner and pressure them, especially if those two guys, if those two guys normally were playing at center midfield. If it were them playing, they're not going to pass and they're not looking to switch play and all that kind of stuff. They're looking to press. You understand? And win the ball up there. Then whatever happens, you just give it to Olex and the other guys up there, and this is how we want to score. That's what you're going to see. You're not going to see anything else. You're not going to see transition. You're not going to see combination play. You're not going to see switch play. You're not going to see counter attack, organized. You're not going to see. You're not waiting for the backs to come out of the back and overlap and no, you're not going to see all that.
So with that being said, did we see any overlapping plays in this particular game?
Man, I see a couple of those guys on the wing back trying to go forward, right? But they didn't have to recognize them that these guys are.
So the first chance we created, could you remember what it was?
No, I can't remember.
It was an overlapping run by Akeem Williams. He squared it across the goal and Olex got the opportunity to finish and he kicked it against the keeper.
Okay. And let me ask a question now. Let me ask another question, Mr. Theon.
Yes.
What time in the game was that?
That was the first opportunity. That's probably about
first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes. After that, it was consistent. That's what Jagba was doing all game, except for the second half. They switched that particular way of playing and went consistently down to Olex in the second half. So,
hey, fellas, yeah. Drogba, that's typically his style. He likes to go forward a lot. Like to really support some of what Scambler and Coppola were saying in terms of style of play, what they would like to see happen. Like what Sammy said, you're not going to see it happen. If you guys have an opportunity to see the team practice, you will understand. Just like how you see we play, that's how we practice. I've seen practice sessions where players who likes to take the time and come out to the midfield and pass, and by the time they start doing that, the coach don't it for there. Don't want none of that. The ball goes to the wing, straight over to Carney. Carney picks it up and he wants to dribble the whole field and run in the next goal. So you're not going to see no build-up play. What you exactly see happening now is what's going to see happening all the time. That is the coach particular style of play what he wants. This is what you're going to see.
So again.
Because
again. Hold on. Again, right? While I agree with what you're generally saying, are you saying in this particular game, the things I just mentioned there, which was the rotation in the middle, Zidane Sam dropping in, Drogba overlapping, you did not see those movements and trying to play? You didn't see that? Is that what we're saying? Yes. Yes, sir.
I was gonna say the same thing. Not quite the same thing, but I was gonna say that Drogba has an inclination to go forward. Either way, I'm not saying that is not the coach strategy. I'm not. I don't totally agree with what I just said. I observed the training and they seem to be trying to put out to the back. But at the stage at which they're with the progression, I don't think they've gotten to a point that they're comfortable playing the ball back. See from time to time. But I could see one strategy is to move the ball, push the wing backs wide, and then we hit it over the top. So they still have a long ball strategy in moving the ball. But they're walking on playing out to the back. I don't think it's anywhere near where they want to be. So they probably won't use it as much as yet because I don't think the team is competent. But I've seen attempts at trying to play the football and move the ball from the back and so on.
But the reason why I also got up, if I play one forward, there's one forward up there, so there's so much space to play now to the back. You understand? And on one occasion, the left back, in terms of playing out to the back, he tried to dribble out to the back. They stole the ball, but if I wasn't going enough to punish them. You understand what I'm saying? So those things that you mentioned there, right? It is one forward. BVI played with one forward. So they had enough room to do all kind of stuff with this ball. You understand?
They didn't do it?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game, but I saw a commentary. I think it was a general review on the game. And what I saw, they said BVI got into the game really well in the second half. So I don't know what that was like.
No, it's correct. It's from the time the second half start up to when Vincy scored the goal.
Mm-hmm.
It was an even game, and BVI was, BVI.
Yeah, I want BVI made a trust.
Yeah, BVI look decent. Yeah, you understand?
Yeah, I didn't see the game,
but there was no really threat to say, oh, these guys are going to score. That was never going to happen. You understand? That was never good. Just like how when we play against Curacao, there was no threat for us to score really. At one time you say, oh, there's no way we're going to score. It's the same thing with BVI. There's no way BVI could have scored us. If we have two defenders, then they could have scored us then. I'm telling you.
But again, right? I still gonna go back to my point. Y'all just contradict yourselves a bit too much for me. So you agree. You have said the two midfielders that are there, they are not, in your opinion, skilled enough. You have also said
you sure are the one who said that, right?
You just said it.
Okay, all right, good enough.
You just said it. You said again, we don't have the technical ability or we're not good enough to receive the ball and so on. So how do you propose?
You sure I said that? You sure you can mix up me and scrum lower?
You said the two man from Lee Warden, if they play in the midfield, you can get that. That's what I say. That's what you say.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I say.
That's it.
Right. So I'm saying we can't want something from and then contradict it at the same time.
It's not contradicting, yeah. If the ball ain't go to the midfield, how you get the ball to the them players up front?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? How much time City does have the ball? And the team does still score? What do you mean? I don't understand.
If I'm Thomas, why you always bring up City and You bring up
like
City and all these big teams.
That's your reference. That's who you does reference.
Really?
Pep. Yes. So I am saying that to say.
Yeah.
There are teams finding ways to win the game without playing excessive midfield possession-based games.
Right, and it could be, Sammy, that the coach recognizes that, let me argue that our two midfielders and ball playing midfielders, they're not comfortable anymore. It could be that the coach recognized that and he said, well, hey, what? We go play it long and try and hit the forwards. If the ball break down, we fight it for the second ball coming off in the attack. You understand? That could be that is his approach. And as I said, I have seen evidence where it seems as if he's walking on a pattern and moving the ball out the back. You understand? But to me, it's not quite there yet because the player's not really comfortable with the ball as yet.
Gato, did you see that in the first game?
No, because the first game, I experienced a lot of things in the first game, man. Man, I don't feel.
Why you excuse that? Why?
Let me say this. I don't feel we were physically prepared and mentally prepared to face Curacao. I feel the preparation started too late. The level of fitness was not at a desired level. And then, of course, the pressure, the first goal score, and that trap and all things. So, for example...
So 3 days after, Gato, 3 days after...
We clearly better than BVI. And that was the difference. It was necessarily a case where we learned anything. We better than BVI. But in a game, when it came, we made a team that was better than us, tactically and technically. We didn't have the discipline, the fitness, and so on to carry out the necessary instructions. And that, to me, was the difference. And you saw it. After we made this first mistake, you feel better than bring out any ball back after that? You feel better the hand kind of confidence to play the ball back after that? No. They just give the ball and give the ball.
So is we alone a strategy? Tuition and a strategy? Really?
I ain't saying that, but I felt as if we already lost the game psychologically. You understand?
Gato, they went to him, they went to the right side often. All the time they went to the right side. Because they know he was the weak point. I'm telling you guys that.
Yeah, I ain't doubting that. I'm not doubting that. I'm just saying that there are other conditions that may affect the performance as well.
Let me just say something.
Virus, I see your virus. You're coming in now.
Okay. Okay. After the first game, where there was a lot of errors within us. Okay? There was a lot of errors. Okay. In the second game, I see where we try to play. But apparently it comes down to the coaching. We were expected to beat BVI regardless. So it's like it really did not matter the style of play, the system of play. It was expected.
All right, Virus, you could go ahead. I think Alexander giving you the floor now. Go ahead.
Hola. Hello.
Go ahead, sir. Good night, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, good night. I just want to share something that the coach would have said after the first game. Right? He said the new philosophy would be a free-flowing possession football with lots of attacking and defensive movement, carried out with physicality. That and some creativity. That was his take after the first game, right? So that would contradict anything that Sammy would have said. based on style of play.
Virus.
Hold on, I ain't done yet. And then, secondly, Sammy, you mentioned the two leeward players in midfield, right?
Mm.
Locally, Portland Williams, in my opinion, and I think my opinion is pretty good, is one of the more technical players that we have.
Okay.
You know, in terms of the options that the coach has locally. He's a midfielder who has good touches, who's passing game into bad shot, pass long passes. The only issue with Cortland at times is that he does hold the ball a bit too long at times, but in terms of his technical ability and passing range and vision in the middle of a park, it's pretty good locally.
So he should play center midfield, or attacking center midfielder.
He could play at 10 or he could play at 8.
Okay.
His shooting ability is an attacking options that we have locally. His shooting ability ain't not bad. His movement as a 10 ain't not bad when required to move as a 10. And to be a passer, a creative player in the middle of the park, it ain't bad either.
Okay.
Based on the options that we have. You know?
So because of the system of play, because of the tactics of the coach, he playing to the coach's tactics and he not playing how we want him to play now. In terms
but just tell him what the coach say based on his tactics moving forward. Right, he say he good possession football moving forward. Hold on. So possession football for me, he ain't no long ball.
Whereas Theon explained to us last week, because we asked him specifically, those same words that you mentioned, we asked him where that come from, because this is not the first time we're hearing about this thing, you know. And Theon's answer was, Theon, what was the answer? This is how the committee, is the technical committee or Theon group, this is how they want.
No. That is not what I said.
Play. Okay.
No.
Just explain it now.
There was a meeting upstairs music center, which saw representation from most clubs and their coaches. The question was asked, how should Vincy play? And these are some of the things that came out from that discussion. What the current coach and past manager, Mr. Thomas, what they did was merge different concepts together based on what everyone said, and that is what they came up with.
Okay, let me just say something. A year ago, to be precise, the coach was on the same Zoom, and that same comment that Virus made was said. But
it's at the end of this presentation as well.
But did we see it in the Nation League?
No, Scrum, we didn't see it.
Okay, so was it a myth?
Scrambler, the Nation League, this is what the plan was from.
Tian.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
When the coach came on, we were preparing for the Nation League. A few months before, I had just came from St. Vincent, and I went at a few national training. Okay, and I did not see the possession, the ball possession base.
What is possession base for you guys? What is that?
Keeping the ball. Yeah.
Where, how? When, how?
Exercising the tempo. Exercising the tempo, dictating the game.
Oh, that is that in the philosophy to dictate the game or free flowing?
Huh?
Well, free flowing. Free flowing. You can forget the free flowing too.
Yeah.
is so it's how you want to interpret it. And this is what I feel happening here too, right? Yeah. Every time this come up, y'all feel I choosing a side. I am not choosing a side. I am trying to understand specifically what you're trying to say. So I ask specific questions. Okay?
Yeah, we don't care if you choose. Yeah, we don't care if you choose any side. Because
I am saying that you guys need to be objective as well.
We know what we see.
Right, and you have your opinion, and your opinion is right.
Thank you.
That's it. Your opinion is right. The two of you, your opinion is right.
What you trying to do to us? You trying to laugh at us?
It's passing and moving.
You see again? You see again? You see again? You see again? See again?
I could wrap up.
Go ahead, Virus. Go ahead. And I see you as well, Started, you coming after Virus.
So my take on the whole thing is this. I am going to give the coach some time because I give him the benefit of the doubt that his approach is going to change, right? Based on conversation with the coach as well. He is not pleased with what we have. I myself not pleased with what we have, to be honest. I am not pleased with the style of play. I am of the opinion that in order for the national team to reach at the level we're supposed to reach, and I can always say this, is that we need to have more players playing professional football. You know? He is not pleased with the technical ability of the players. I am not pleased either of the players that we have locally. That's the reality, and we have to face the reality. And his take is really trying to change the football culture, which, in my opinion, boy, it could take a while, and it has to start at youth level, in my opinion, to be honest, because there's a lot of things that has to change. But the coach ain't pleased, and I could understand why he not pleased.
But Virus, you say everything had to change, right? Okay, those guys were on Facebook. Those guys were on Facebook today, right? And they're talking about, Vincy from a long time ago and all that kind of stuff, right? But what I'm saying is that this is our style of play. Before more critical. No, I'm telling you. I mean, you could laugh,
No, I am laughing because my next topic really is geared around revisiting our past national games and seeing if there's any difference.
All right. So
Go ahead, Kenzie.
So yeah, I just wanted to chime back, and I think Virus did a good job at wrapping it up. I mean, we could be critical, but we have to. I think we still have to work with our realities. One of the things that it comes with style of play is that again, understanding the game. Those areas are weak, and as I said, it seems as if you started the process. I think Worldcup qualifiers came too soon, and we had too many breaks for the players to be consistent in training and so on and so on. It was a very uncertain period. When the qualifiers supposed to happen, was going to happen Nation League, then the break, then the National League, when the break and so on. And so you have to start from basically ground zero a month before a tournament. It's really hard to.
But got to everybody know that we're going to play at this time. Everybody knows a year in advance. So what are you talking about?
No, everybody knew. All away, Sammy. All away. Everybody knew.
Is the right man talking to? Is the right man talking to?
Did we know that the format would have been like this, for example?
We mean,
Mr. Stoddard, when was the national team allowed to train?
A month before the competition, and we want them to play. Guys, we play football in 3 months.
And in Nigeria, now I play every day, all day.
In 3 months, we want to come and play. Okay. No, come on, Sammy, let me get practical, man. Honestly. Because we have a tendency to be unfair to people. You understand? And I mean no way defending the national coach in any way. All I'm saying is, come on, we can't expect, we cannot expect champagne football, that fluid football in a month training.
That's all.
Go ahead.
In college up here, they give you 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay? 2 weeks. What are you talking about?
With the COVID conditions?
No, we have no.
So tell me, it's a different time.
No, it's not a different time.
Let me just say something.
Could I finish with Gato?
Go ahead.
Barbados have the same thing. You know what Barbados watch the segment soon? You know what Barbados do? They took the team out 2 weeks before.
How long?
2 weeks before.
So, what's your point?
You see Barbados?
Whose fault is that?
No, it's not a fault, you know.
Shane,
Barbados got jumped up still.
I see you, Shane.
Barbados still got jumped up.
Barbados have? What points Barbados have?
What points have you doing anything? Okay. Really?
Sorry. Shane, I see you trying again a while. After Mr. Alexander. After Mr. Alexander, you come.
Hold on a second. Okay. I coach for a club. And I coach the U18s, U18s, U19s. And it is at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I get the team full before the league starts. And it's practice 3 days a week. Okay? Practice 3 days a week. I have to prepare for my first game. And these boys have to be able to know my system of play. So there's no excuse. No excuse.
You make an excuse.
Mr. Sutherland, Stadana, whatever, make an excuse.
Gato. Call him Gato.
Shane, you go ahead. Shane, go ahead.
Yeah, two things. Sammy and Alexander, you guys are not being realistic, as Kels was trying to point out, right?
Also.
The fact is, because I'm going to give you the example. So I migrated to America at age 17. The resources that I had when I went to try for college, I had a gym, I had access to trainers, you had recovery, you had nutrition, things I've never had in my life, right? We don't have those facilities. Chester highlighted last week, there was a struggle for balls. There was a struggle to get Victoria Park to train. So the fact of the matter is, in an ideal situation, everything that you guys are saying would apply. However, that's not being realistic working with limited resources. In addition to that, Alexander, your U18 team, those kids are out on the track running, staying fit, the parents are investing in them. The parents who want their kids to play in college will hire personal trainers and they will do group training, so they're coming in peak condition. Some of our players don't even have jobs, they don't have a steady income, they don't have the correct nutrition. So the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of other things that need to be put in place for them to be successful.
But
we're not working.
In the past, right? And Theon will come to that. You know, those good national teams. You know,
in the past, when are we talking about?
2000, when I coached a team, we didn't have them kind of thing, man.
2000, when you coached a team, did you have a period where there was no football at all?
Did you coach in a pandemic?
Could I answer? Let me answer now.
That's what I'm doing now.
Okay, let's.
I have.
Alexander, no disrespect, but you can't compare a U18 club team to a national team.
Listen to me, right? They give it.
I almost make the same point, and I almost make the same point.
You basically said that my U18 have more resources than the national team?
It is possible.
Yes.
How?
Because you live in the United States of America with more resources. Simple things as access to parks and parks with lights.
No, we play 280 US per hour. 280 US.
Alexander, I'm also affiliated with a club, and I understand the finances and the pitch structure and the cost of those things. But the fact is, it's still accessible. My friends and I play, and we rent a park, and we play every Tuesday and Thursday. It's accessible. It can be done. We don't have that option in St. Vincent. There's limited parks. There's probably one lighted park. It's different resources. So you can't make those comparisons.
Anyway, so we are not going to post.
Anyway, we recognize the team is not where it's supposed to be. It should be better. We hope that it improves moving forward. All right? Okay. You can understand. All right, some basic transition issues that was recognized. BVI tried to get a shot once they won the ball in this particular area. Vincy, he tried to press immediately and create balance. Common trends that we recognize, some technical breakdowns. Played out using the central midfield and was successful most times. BVI were played through. Better organization of their press was needed. So I was recognizing that particular third. In the middle third, what was recognized, this was the general shape on both left and the right side. If we start with the image on the far left, what was taking place here is either they would go short to, for example, DL would pick up or Spring would pick up the left back position, left back would rotate high, and Olex would rotate inside and he would receive the ball. If not, it would be played to Carney or over the top, would then move in from there. And this is in the middle third. On the opposite side, most of the players were going through Cortland, who would either play to Zidane or wide to Drogba, who made the overlapping run, or even Kyle. When Sutherland had the ball, and sometimes Cortland even tried to switch the play to Anderson. Technical breakdown again. Similarly, when Sutherland had the ball in this particular area, he tried to do similar things as Cortland tried to do, play it into Sam's feet, or he tried to play it down the line for Williams to run onto, or play it over the centre back head so that Kyle could run onto the ball. So those were some of the common things that I saw. Short passes to the middle as well, to create overloads wide, and this overload was more so in the first half because that's when most of the overlapping plays took place. They were attacking more down the right-hand side in the first half. In the second half was more of the picture that we see on the left-hand side. In the first half, there was a lot more movement and rotation in the middle third. Rotational movement from midfielder, balls were played into the channels and into space for Kyle to run onto. BVI tried to have a high press in this particular area, and they pressed with a wide tree. Lines were not close and compact, and they were not compact in terms of the middle and the front line. The back three were looking for the long ball. Once there was no pressure on the ball, so we found that their back three, in this case, if it's on the right-hand side, it would have been the 5, the 2, and the 10, the generally were trying to drop off. It was the opposite side, was the 2, the 5, and the 3 were trying to drop once the ball was on the opposite side, and there was no pressure on the ball. This is how I saw the midfield battle taking place. And their midfield, I think they did better in this particular area in regaining the second ball, especially in the second half. Transition, what I recognized was once BVI won the ball, they played forward when the pass was safe, and they tried to recycle it a couple of times, but when they recycled it, they tried to go long afterwards. So that was generally what was happening with them. Back They tried to delay space and protect as well. That's in Vincy Heat case. That is what they tried to do on their transition. They tried to press and to delay as much as possible and try to get back into a shape. Trends, a lot of technical breakdowns, and they played through BVI. BVI were trying to cope and manage the pace of the game, especially in the first half. Second half, they adjusted quite well and looked a lot better. In the attacking third of Vincy Heat, defensive third of BVI, these are some of the general concepts that took place. You could recognize we had a good bit of numbers getting up into that particular area. Khan usually making the late run. We had Zidane showing up a lot, Kyle a lot, Olex a lot. I think Olex missed 2 chances, Kyle missed 3, Zidane missed 1 when they got in this particular area. The midfielders were the ones who were trying to get the ball into the feet of the players. And they constantly tried on the right-hand side to produce overlapping runs. On the opposite side, Olex tried to do more 1v1s and try to get the ball inside or get off a shot. Vincy tried to be direct, so it wasn't much horizontal passing. It was more vertical or diagonal, and a lot of dribbling to penetrate, wing play, overlapping, and support from the midfield. BVI, they tried to press as much as possible, and they try to push the team wide whenever they can. Close and compact lines. This was quite evident because they had a lot of players back. They had a similar structure to that of Vincy. 5 players trying to get below the ball in the midfield, and then the back 4 just behind them. They were good in most cases in the 1v1 defending and covering situations. Common transition and trends. So from defense to attack, they try to play forward and try to counter attack along the sides. What Vincy tried to do on the other hand, the last possession, the front line and midfield, they fell back and they protect the space behind them to win the second ball. They also recognized that they were trying to play the long ball, so the press wasn't quite there as well. It actually dropped off a bit to receive the second ball and try to play from there. In terms of common trends in this particular area, lots of chances to get shots, technical breakdowns, whether it was in crossing or in finishing, and they try to finish every attack. Finish mean either get a shot, a cross, or just getting up into that particular area and creating something. BVI, their press and cover was easily broken. Seemed to have some communication issues between the players of who should do what, as well as when they had to clear a couple of balls, a lot of them run toward the ball instead of communicating. A couple of times the keeper came and a lot of players went towards him as well. So that's what I was talking about in terms of communication. In terms of set plays, Vincy Heat, the throw-ins, they were generally down the line, the corners and free kicks. When they were for them, they tried to play middle and the far post delivery. The execution should have been better, but there was also limited movement in the box from our players. Zonal and man marking for corners against, and one player stayed up the field whenever they had a free kick against our corner. On the other hand, BVI long throws into the box. Once they had an attacking corner, they did this on the left-hand side in the first half when they had that opportunity. Took a long throw into the box. Throw down the sides once it was in the middle third. There are long corners and free kicks, which with their intent basically was to play to the back post in every opportunity. Zonal and man marking for the corners, and one player stayed up high for them most times. Second half, what we saw in the second half was more of the same from BVI. Change of personnel, for example, the right back went to centre back, and I saw look a lot better in terms of the pressure and cover situation. Distribution was also better. The first 10 minutes, they had more passes and attacking opportunities. They pressed high up the field. In terms of Vincy Heat, on the other hand, high pressing line as well. They had more spaces behind them. Lies were less compact and they struggled to win the second ball. They played more counter-attacking football with long passes, didn't use the midfielders, and no overlapping runs were executed like in the first half. So the contrast in the first and second half, they had a lot more overlapping. The second half, they had more direct play, and it was more so on the left-hand side, most of the balls were being played directly. Fitness level was good up until the 75th minute. Last our shape at the 80th minute. All right, so with that being said, this is what I saw generally. And again, it would bring back out again the philosophy here. So the question to the persons who are here, knowing the philosophy, did we see this in the game? So what you're seeing on the right-hand side, this is generally some of the plays that we tried to attempt during the first half. All right, so here are the questions again. Did we see this happening, meaning the philosophy? What did we think about the substitutions that were executed in the two games? Player ratings for the two games. Is there anybody who stood out to us? What do we think we need to improve on? Did we fulfill our objectives? Where do we go from here? And the last one, what positives could we take away from the game? So it's open to the floor now for you guys to give me some hints or some ideas as it relates to these particular questions. Wow. Silence. This is good. This is good. This is good. This is good. All right. So for me, coming out of these two games, I think the standout player for me would have been Akeem Williams. I'd also say Zidane Sam was quite solid. Kyle had a better second game. I am still not happy with Stuart playing in the center of midfield, but he had an average, for his standard, he was quite average. Sutherland has some work to do with his distribution along with York. Gave away too many unnecessary passes. I think Best has a lot to work on in terms of mentally and getting himself ready mentally for the games and being prepared. Spring, I was quite disappointed in his performance. Expected a lot more from him. Mr. Williams, I think to work on his fitness and composure on the ball. I saw a lot of positives in terms of team spirit and working for each other and not giving up. I saw that regularly from the guys in terms of the first game. I think we may have discovered a good talent in Mr. Charles to work with moving forward in the future. Finally, Zeno came on and scored a goal. It was good to see. I guess I was also anticipating, as well as it relates to substitutions, the guys, the quote unquote, and I don't like to use this term, the developmental players that came on, but I didn't think they got a chance to basically show much of themselves. They were substituted in. So it would be interesting to know what type of development they would have gathered from being around the national setup. Only time will tell. In terms of objective, going into this these two games, I think the probabilities were that we were going to lose against Curacao and we were going to win against BVI. So I would say we accomplished this. I would also say that we as in everyone here, we're not satisfied with the style or the way we are playing. We can do a lot better, in my opinion, as well. I was quite disappointed, as I said earlier, with the defensive organization of the team and how we performed as our pressure cover balance situation. I know attacking is quite difficult. It is probably the hardest part of the game, for me at least. And we have a lot of work to put in. These are some of the positives that I saw. Where do we go from here? Hopefully, we can have consistent training and improve on all the different things that we spoke about here tonight and moving forward. And hopefully the next 3 games, we have a lot better showing from our Vincy Heat. Those are just my 2 cents. If there are no other comments, move on to the next slide. No other comments. Great. Right. So we'll close off here tonight. Thanks again for your attention. Just some reminders for those of us still here. The Football Federation has started several meetings. One took place today, one will take place tomorrow, and one will be on Saturday. These meetings are meetings between the technical team and the club coaches or officials to discuss how we forward and how do we improve St. Vincent's football. So I am looking forward to these discussions so that we could improve our product that we have here locally. There are no other comments.
Who's on the technical team?
Technical team. The first VP for technical director.
Does he have a name?
Wayne Grant.
Okay.
Keith Olivier. Theon Gordon. Ian Sardine. There should be a referee's rep. I think it's Lars Lewis. There's a female rep. That's Tanisha Batiste. And then there's there's Atnell. There are 3 members from the executive. I think it's James Brown. And what's his name from again? Dwight. So those are the members who belong to the technical team. From these discussions, there's gonna be a concrete cementing of our ideas moving forward in terms of creating an identity and a structure and a system of which we develop football in St. Vincent.
So seeing that a lot of people who was on this committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, when football restarts, we could see some of them things from the team first before we implement it among all the other teams, because everybody there that you mentioned have a team in Premier Division and First Division.
That's not the context. The context is what you guys have been crying out for a while. Creating a Vincentian identity, creating a structure for the Vincentian football, and how do we get it done as Vincentian? That is what it's about.
But I'm saying, it comes from it has to come from the club.
Yeah,
that's first.
Sam is absolutely correct.
No?
Sam is absolutely correct. Like, first of all, I probably better meetings with creating this and creating that. Too many of those meetings I've attended. You understand?
There has never been a meeting like this one.
Okay. I feel so. So hold on. We have made several attempts to come up with this same product that we coming up with, right? And I feel there hasn't been anyone to put a document together. We talk, we do document, we don't do much. We have not there no final.
There has never been a meeting like this one.
You can't say that because the meeting ain't happening yet.
Hold on. Tian, we used to meet on college.
Okay.
We used to meet on college.
Mr. Stoddard, again, there has never been a meeting like this one.
Meeting ain't happening yet.
Okay.
People in Canada, those are the meeting today.
No, they are
Yes, one, the group was broken up. The group was broken up into three. So they went by division. So you have first, today was the second division, tomorrow is the fourth, Saturday is the premier.
To do what? The first division, second division, premier have to do with developing a philosophy of football.
Who said it's a development of philosophy of football?
Why is it? Repeat again, please.
Okay. Where does the philosophy come from here?
No, it's not philosophy of football. We working on it. I'm just trying to understand what I'm saying first.
He's talking about the style, guy.
I am.
So what's the philosophy?
Why? If everything about football for you guys has to do with technical stuff.
No, not everything.
No. That's the context.
Yeah.
Again, I'm gonna repeat myself. Again, I'm gonna repeat.
We say now.
Again. So, Mr. Stoddard, I'll speak to you specifically. The meetings that we used to have, it will be one along that similar vein, but in a bigger context, where you are using the opinions of everybody across the board.
Plus we on the Zoom too, Mr. Theon.
There would be a presentation of what, for example, from the technical director, what the educational plan is, what the development
affiliates,
plan is.
Or could we come in to hear it when it's happening?
For the affiliates. This is a process.
Okay. How long it take? How long is
so this is, again,
yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He seem like we are busting his chops. Okay?
My chops? No, sir. No, sir. Not at all. You're not that privileged. You're not that privileged, sir.
But we're not busting your chops.
You're not that privileged.
We just need to know that
you're not that privileged.
Theon, just listen to me, no man.
I listen to you.
So, me, I'm pretty. It shows within the national team that there's a gap.
Okay.
There's a gap in the sense of we don't have no youth development. Okay. So this is where the national team struggle technically, tactically, and physically. Okay?
Psychologically too.
And psychologically. Whereby, okay, our youth development is very, very lacking. Is all these meetings, symposiums, whatever, touching anything on youth development?
Yes, Kamla, the big boys, all the big boys there today. The technical director is there today. Theon is there today. Ian Sardin,
Sardin was not there today. Sardin was not there today.
Mr. Gordon,
you mentioned Sardin?
Mr. Gordon.
You asked me.
Mr. Gordon.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes,
Mr. Gordon, I'm putting up my hand. Could I ask a question?
You know, you would answer my question, Theon. You Sardin or whatever. I asked a legitimate question.
But Sammy answered it for me because he's talking to me.
Mr. Gordon.
Let me answer him. So again, Mr. The function is, what is the role of the club in development of football in Simmons? What is the coaching pathway for different coaches? What is the player pathway from grassroots all the way up to senior national team or however old he is? What are the objectives of the Football Federation? How do you see yourself fitting into this particular scheme? What are your suggestions in moving this process forward?
There's a data mining activity.
So is that strategic plan?
There's a data mining activity, that's what they call it now.
What have to be?
Yeah, I applaud you guys for this, Theon. It's long overdue. And this is what Scrummer wants all the time. And I know what Scrummer question it. Scrummer, this is what you want. You finally have a youth program. You finally have a grassroots program, Scrummer. Hello?
Mr. Gordon, I said that question for you now.
The man never said, you just do a youth program and a grassroots program. The man never said that. The man never.
What mean you never said that?
Yeah, listen. That's a problem.
So what?
Sammy, yes. This is all part of the discussion.
Come on, man.
This will all be part of the discussion. How do you see football in St. Vincent developing? That's the real question. And how do you see yourself helping in this process?
Tian, let me ask a question. What is that?
Wait, Kenson. Let Hippolyte ask first and then you will come. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Hippolyte.
Okay, Mr. Gordon, you prefaced this thing by saying there was no other meeting like ever, right? This a precedent was established.
No,
what was the outcome of the meeting today? Hold on. Let me finish my question. Let me finish my question. Mr. Gordon, I kind of old, so don't stop me so I forget what to say.
Yeah.
All right? So, President setting meeting today. What was the outcome of the meetings and how it creates a bridge to the next meeting?
Good. So we had, I think, 9 clubs being represented there today. It was great. We had actually over an hour and a half of just conversations and views from different persons and different topics. They are clearer on where the Federation is trying to go and the process of trying to get done, as well as I would like to believe, well, I'm a lot clearer on some of the issues and views that different clubs may face on a national perspective and so forth. So I'll give you one. It was reiterated consistently tonight in different ways, shape, or form that we need to create a culture of football for us to move forward. It cannot no longer progress along the lines that we are moving now. If it is, we expect to improve our football. What we were unable to do tonight was to have the ICT section of it, which would have been introducing persons to Zoom and different platforms so that we could have these type of meetings with the affiliates. Adding on to that, these persons would receive emails with the presentations that were given tonight, and then they are expected to write back or to give feedback on what they think based on the presentation that was given. So there's now an open line for communication as it relates to this development. Does that answer your question?
In other words, you're gonna bring them into the meeting and tell them what we want to do, and they can think it's what their idea.
Well, actually, it was different. It was actually different. First, it was, what do you think?
Okay.
How we move forward. So it was from them first.
Okay.
And then the presentation was made in terms of what are the general ideas that the Federation expects. The details and where you fit yourself in, that is where the discussion really is.
Who chaired the meeting, Theon? Were you heavily, like, how are you talking about?
It was same, it was had to be.
Not the man.
Theon, it is run by you, Theon?
This is an initiative by the Football Federation, headed by the technical director and the other technical members of the team.
So you are in the background?
Again, this was a meeting
Mr.
chaired by
Gordon, chair the meeting.
Federation. I did not chair the meeting. This was a meeting chaired by technical committee. Yes, please.
Couple things.
Yes, sir.
It's a great thing that you guys are doing. I think that it's a step in the right direction. I think maybe you can reference my presentation with the club coach's role. There's a lot of stuff in there that you can use.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
For that. Secondly, and most importantly, the biggest problem I have with all you guys down there is we seem to have such a defeatist attitude towards everything.
Well,
the players can't do this, they can't do that.
That came out. Not just saying, not confirming what you're saying. That came out today in the discussion. So the attitude towards the game and our belief, that came out today.
Wait. What's the attitude when you guys talk about this meeting?
Patrick, go over that again. Repeat that again, Patrick.
Players, Sammy, let me finish. Sammy, stop. Let me finish now, man. Let me finish.
No, I just wanted you to repeat it. I want to hear. Just repeat it. What you're saying.
Oh, okay. What I said was, Sammy, we have too much of a defeatist attitude in St. Vincent. They don't believe in the players, and they don't believe the players can learn anything. That is wrong. I listen to guys here, and I've been in St. Vincent, and I hear the talk. There's no way a coach, you going into a World Cup, no matter what the team is. There's no way a coach would be saying we can't qualify for a World Cup. I don't care. Don't say it. Because if you encourage the players, you will get more out of them. Even though you don't qualify, they're going 110%, and they are better players because they exert. But when you psychologically tell them it ain't going to happen now till next whenever, that does something to the psyche. You don't even realize it, but you do. So what I'm saying is, when they start their meetings, it has to be positive. It has to be the attitude that we could learn anything and we could go as far as we let ourselves. You guys sit and you talk about resources and whatnot. Resources and so forth. 79 team had the resources you guys have now, or the FIFA money. Neither did the 95 team. I don't want to hear excuses. That ain't going to change. Talk to me about solutions. How? Ask yourself how. Don't tell me anything about we don't have this and we don't that have. I think that's a given. We know that. Okay? I used to play football in Layu in a park with friggin' big stone. The ball was led at the tube, you had to push it. And when it go in the water, come back wet with sand, it's heavy like lead. And I kicked that with my barefoot and had fun. So don't tell me about resources. We know that, and we all grew up with it. Tell me how you gonna bring St. Vincent up, regardless of the resources, because it can be done. Because if you can't figure it out,
Scrambler need to stop hold up the shoes on them and send them.
So please, I don't want to scramble in shoes. You can send shoes, you can send all you want. Let's deal with the mind. The mind of the administration, the attitude of the administration, and that will filter down to the coaches and the players. People could do it. I told you guys about that book. Here's a bunch of Black South African anti-apartheid guys who were put in jail. These guys were in jail and started a successful league. In jail and started a successful league. So I don't want to hear about limited fields. There are fields all over, but of course, everything starts with the administration, and they have to lead the way. Because I walk around with it, fields men could just I'm sure the government feels they can just, put up things and they make the best of what you got. I don't want any excuses, and don't be defeated. Give the players the benefit of the doubt. A coach says, well, this is what we plan to do. But did we practice it enough in practice? So instead of giving the coach the benefit of the doubt, nobody ever gives the players the benefit of the doubt. We assume that they're being taught and they're hard-headed and they can't learn anything. And I don't believe that. I simply don't believe it because I saw them play. I think they have enough there with a positive attitude to do things. It's all confidence, man. It's all confidence. It's not believing in yourself. That's all I gotta say about all this. And I hope Theon takes my message to all his policymakers down there. This is what we do. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere with a negative, defeated attitude. But okay, we don't have to think small.
So, but Patrick,
we don't have to think small. Yes, Sammy. I know the reality, Sammy. All I'm saying is, where there's a will,
right,
there is a way. And that has to be our attitude. We'll always do so. We'll never get bigger. We'll never have the resources of the US and Mexico. It doesn't mean we can't find a way to beat them. It's as simple as that.
But the current coach was missing?
Huh?
The current coach was missing from this meeting?
What was that?
The current
He's in quarantine. He's in quarantine.
Oh, he's in quarantine. Okay.
I don't know what coach was. I'm telling you how I feel and how I see things.
This is not a meeting for a national coach and nothing. This is for everybody who interested in seeing the game move forward.
Is it mandatory for anyone? That was the question implied in that question.
Mandatory. It is not mandatory for anyone.
Theon, if it's not mandatory, we're not getting anywhere. You want to be a national coach, the meetings have to be mandatory.
This is not that.
Everybody has to make a sacrifice.
This is not that type of meeting.
This is a fact-finding
I'm not talking about this. I'm saying in the future, federations need to do this. Make it necessary and have sponsor the Zooms, whether it's you and Mama Della, whomever. We're not going anywhere like that, Theon. You have to be man of people. If they quit, it's because they shouldn't be there in the first place. The people who want to do it will find a way and they'll make the sacrifice. They'll make the sacrifice. Sammy, myself, Des, all of us, Hippo, we all leave our homes here in New York and we come St. Vincent to make it better.
Yeah, Ali start the talking. Everybody leave Vincy. Leave Vincy.
All the chase people.
But guess what? But guess what? Guess what? You know why we leave Vincy? See, that's it. Stop. The attitude is wrong. Look at it this way. We all left Vincy, but we have something to put back into Vincy.
And
this is what you should look at.
How much years have you contributed to America?
How much years? Do you know the scholarships I get to? I'm telling
That's an unfair question. That's an unfair question.
No, listen.
That's an unfair question, Mr. Gordon.
He said to America?
Yes. How much years have you contributed to America?
To America?
Yes.
Oh, there are a lot of things in America. I coach American kids all the time.
How many years have you contributed to America?
What kind of question is that? We're talking about
just answer the question.
How long have you left St. Vincent and gave your talents to the United States of America?
That's not the way to look at it. While I'm here, I'm telling you. I answered your question.
So
I left there, I worked, I played, and whatnot.
No, I want to tell me yes.
This is the thing. This is the
how much?
Let me finish. This is always, listen, you're not listening. This is always the negative spin of Vincentians. They don't look positive. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I gave most scholarships to Vincentian players.
You know which road I'm going to put up with this statement.
No. But I got to tell you because this is...
All right, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
You're not thinking it's in Vincent.
Go ahead.
All I'm saying is, even though... Let me be very pragmatic. I had no control of my parents taking me out to St. Vincent at 14 years old. That's the first thing. Secondly, while I'm here, I learned as much as I could. I'm at a point now where you have to look at the positive side of things. You guys should look at what are we doing for St. Vincent if we come back to help? Even while we were here, Vincentians players come here, all of them fellas come, we ready and they play. They meet people, they get exposure, the confidence building. We always ready. And you're more Vincentian when you're out here than when you're at home. I think you need to know that. Because we have to defend what we see, what St. Vincent does. You ain't exposed to the Jamaicans, the Trinidadians, and everybody else. We here, we defend it. Okay? But the positive.
You take that Theon, that smoke it.
You know, you guys are more negative than me. And I'm here. And here's another way you can look at it. When you out, here's the big situation. Let me just finish this thing. No. I don't want you to answer anything. I just want a few things that I think you guys need to know.
Just listen, man. Listen to him.
Sammy, right now. When we are out here, we are seeing both sides of the coin. We know the restrictions in St. Vincent. We know what's going on there. On the other side, we see what's out here. we could figure out a way to merge that gap, to merge that chasm between St. Vincent and what we are here, and figure out how to do it. We see both sides. You guys don't see both sides. And this is why we probably know a little bit more. Listen, this is why I think...
The same comment you're making right now, which is you outside of St. Vincent telling me about St. Vincent. I out America and I could tell you about America.
America.
Yeah, the point is, when I say tell you what's in this, I'm saying we know it. We grew up there. And much hasn't changed. So my point is, we see both sides. We live both sides of the coin, though. Gato, we live both sides of the coin. So we're in a good position to tell you a lot of things. But you guys, you refuse it. It's very negative.
Okay. Here is my question. Hold on. I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
We come to St. Vincent 1 time a year, 2 times a year. How many times you guys come up here? And I'm done.
0. Gato, go ahead, Gato.
The issue is that's not even the issue, though, you know. The issue is being receptive to fellas who, even though we don't live there, we are still Vincentians, and whatever we do here, we see how it could work for St. Vincent, and that's how they have to look at us.
My word, I can't believe I did
You
this.
trust all the technical directors you bring down from wherever, but there's something missing in terms of coaching, personal relationships, and a passion for the team and the country to do well. Those are critical and tangible things that we have. Gato tone. Gato, let me hear you.
Patrick, it pains my heart to lie here and listen to speak like this. I can't believe it. First of all, let me say this. That is why we go overseas. We look for projects overseas. We bring them here, and we feel it's a plug and play. It's not a plug and play. Patrick, we are here and telling you what our realities are.
But Gato, I live it. Don't tell me. I live it and I hear it. What I'm saying is we are willing to make modifications and take the positive road.
Patrick, just listen to me.
And you guys are letting it overcome you.
Everybody listen to me. Patrick, everybody listen to you.
Patrick, everybody listen to you. So you listen now.
Patrick, why do you feel that we are oblivious to what is going on in St. Vincent? Explain that to me. 1, 2. Why do you feel that you have the authority on our game and you understand our game better? And why are you not giving us that credit?
But don't you understand? You are not giving yourself credit. The game is the same, Gato. The game is not different in St. Vincent. We know the standards. We know the shortcomings. You are the ones not giving your players the benefit of the doubt. I am positive.
I like how you're laughing. You're having some fun. Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry. Go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead,
saying
Patrick.
They can learn anything because I know I've coached all kinds of players. I'm saying it could be done. You're the one that should be your players, not me.
You coach all kind of players in America.
It doesn't matter, boy. The feel is a ball and players.
No.
The feel is a ball and players. Listen, Gato, you talk about men not coming to practice. I used to have I coach a Division 3 team. No scholarships. Especially, let me tell you. That's the one thing.
You feel Patrick could get grimy come training?
Wait. I'll answer that. Wait. I'll answer that. Listen. I've coached girls way, and in America, and especially in the people around people of color, women have a lot of responsibilities. I've coached where girls have to get home. Can't stay for practice because they have to pick up their younger brother, younger sister. They have to get home because the parents got to work at night and they have to go home and take care of their siblings. It's in a different form. We all are the same coaches have the challenges. Here, how you do
Are women Are women in America treated the same as those in St. Vincent in the context of how do we look at women here in St. Vincent who play football? Are we see them as empowering them, or do we look down on them and say they're tomboys and they're not equal or good enough?
Well, that's your mentality you have to fix. But we're telling you. So listen. How does that change? If I come there, that won't be my attitude. That's my point. How does that change? If you can't change it for the day, would you give somebody else a chance to try to change it? Patrick, you were talking about somebody who didn't come to practice, Theon.
Yes.
Patrick. What's his name?
Grammy. That's Sammy's favorite boy.
And when he comes to practice, he will practice for 40 minutes.
Okay. So here what you do at Grammy. Here what you do at Grammy. Listen, Grammy love football, right? Yeah. You just leave Grammy to the side. You get on with the players. Once Grammy see
which players?
They all like that, Patrick.
Are you telling me there are no players at all that want to come to practice and play? Or throughout the sentence?
Patrick,
what you're saying?
Patrick.
This is terrible, man.
Patrick, part of learning is listening now, bro. You're not listening.
I hear you. I hear you.
That is correct. You're hearing, you're not listening. You're not listening.
Go ahead. You asked me a question. Go ahead, Starlet. Go ahead.
Okay, guys. We're kind of moving away from the point that Theon started with, right?
Right, that's true.
What I really think about this whole thing, I think CONCACAF, FIFA has done a tremendous job in giving us information of how to develop all of our programs, from grassroots to the senior team. All right. And the shortcoming comes where the people who are responsible for distributing these programs to the clubs are not doing that.
So can I give you another way of looking at it, Sam?
Wait, no, let me just.
I'm bringing back to the point I used before.
Okay.
If we had the persons with the capacity like a Sammy, like a Patrick, who have decided to give their services to America instead of giving their service to citizens, would we be better off?
Of course we'll be better off. And I told, okay, listen
and that's the point.
Wait.
That's the negative thing about you guys. You don't think so?
Patrick,
you don't think so?
Patrick, hold up now.
But yet still the football is not moving forward, Theon, right?
Patrick, hold up now. Hold up, Patrick. Right? I told Des, I told Scramler.
No.
We all have
He said no.
We all have to go back together, whether it's summer, whether it's
and Sammy, I feel that should be a regular thing. Which you guys
and we're gonna do that.
A specific time that could be a part of the calendar for the youths, which is
right. We're gonna do that.
Time of the year, you guys come in, you create that atmosphere, you do what you need to do from your perspective, whatever. It is part of the process.
So put that as a recommendation to your discussion.
And just to let some things out the hat, there will be a new program. I don't know if you know about Sam should know. Next play, you remember that program I was doing, right?
Yeah.
What they're doing now, they have evolved that program and they want to take it now to, let's say, about 20 schools. So before it was 4 and 6 for the second rounds. Now they want to take it to 20. So, but it would be a 6-week program with kids below the ages of 12. So that's coming. All right. So
where get the instructors from?
That's the thing. The way CONCACAF is moving now is they're saying, take care of yourself.
The money to do for the program?
No, in the context of money is what they give is bars, phones, bibs, and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Our task here is to get this human resource, get the ministry on board, get the process done, link the clubs with it, so it could be a part of our entire grassroots program.
So we got to put PE teachers back into the primary schools.
No, we want PE teachers in this program, but PE teachers need to be in the primary schools. I am personally, I do not want no PE teacher to do no football work for me.
Why?
They are overloaded already.
Theon.
Overloaded. Hey, they had to track, they had to netball, they had to volleyball. And they had to...
Don't do that, better.
Yeah, I telling you how it is.
No, let's drill down now. Come on now.
Yes, I do them, but I am not effective.
Yeah. I am going to go back on the previous conversation.
Yes, sir.
A few years ago, with the previous administration, with two administrations before this one.
Wait.
Remember this one day in a while. Remember this one day a while. So you have
it's 9 years. It's 9 years. This guy's what you talking about a few years ago?
Okay.
Are you going crazy? Are you losing memory?
Tommy, let me land.
9 years. Today was there.
The previous president, to be precise.
So okay, we're looking at you're talking about Dell's time, or are you looking at
Marvin?
Coombs and Marvin. Coombs, Marvin. Okay, cool.
So,
all right.
Okay. I usually go Vincy like twice a year. And the national team was preparing for some competition. Twice. Okay? Coombs called me, get a hold of me, and said, look, Alexander, I want you to go and train the national team for 2 days.
What? What? What do you mean?
Tommy, zip it, let me land. Then you can ask questions.
You coach national team for 2 years? Who do that?
2 days. 2 days.
You just put in a session, you put in a developmental session. What's wrong with that?
Okay. Then I'm there. Mr. Huggins was the coach at the time. Okay? And Huggins said to me, boy, scrambler, boy, where you come down here to do? Take my job? So, right away, we as foreigner, what kind of input we could make?
You had deconstruct foreigners because I don't see myself as a foreigner.
Better. And this could never happen at the mock. You great coaches stay for 2 days, really?
All right. Let me give you a different context. Can you go to the American football team, national team, and run 2 day session? Any average person could do that? When? How? Way?
No, but you're missing the key to that. If the president of the Football Federation brings in
I asked you a question. Which president in any other major organization?
No, that's not your point. I'm on you today. I'm kicking it out.
That's my point. That's my point.
No, the question you asked.
That's my point.
Yeah.
You telling me a man coming from foreign and you just can send him for the 2 sessions with your national team.
This is for all the crazy. That's how we operated.
Man, I don't mean Alexander. Alexander made that one up.
That's when you lack a structure, though.
You don't believe me.
Wait.
You don't believe me.
Now you mean now.
Okay. Send me your number. No.
No, man. Forget about that. Let's continue.
Send me your numbers now.
Okay,
Let me send you the videos.
Theon, you're straight away from the point again, man.
Send me your number.
I'm saying, right? Because I have a lot of information that you all have from CONCACAF and from FIFA. And
my son was on this evening. I just got text from him now.
Yeah,
no, he was too quiet. He was too quiet, man. He ain't politics. He born in Canada.
He bad though. I tell you.
So, yeah, this is what I'm saying, right? People, you make me lose my thought there, right?
You're getting old, boy. Okay, that's why they want back as young people things now.
I know. And it's a clique. It's a clique that run things. You understand? So, we have enough information from FIFA and tremendous information, right? but somehow, we have to get that information to the clubs. And it's Kent, Sardine, Mamadi, and Bramble. Their job is to get into the club, and they gotta do something else now. When people tell them to do, before them, they have failed to do it for whatever reason, and they know that. You understand what I'm saying? And
what it is FIFA said to do that we fail to do?
Club and registration.
Program.
The grassroots program.
The grassroots program.
The elite program. Should I go on?
What are you talking about, Sam? You call my name and say, I, right? You call my name and say, I.
Yeah, Theon, I want to go back to the stuff you're talking about the meeting you having, man. That was interesting. I want to go back to that. Because that is,
if you're going to have a grassroots program or elite program, how are we going to get done? Who going to do it?
Let me go back to that, Theon. Let me talk about that one day.
I'm going to answer him first and then I'll come to you. So. How are we going to happen? Who going to do it?
We are until 2:30 we have a lot of time still.
Now we have a lot of time.
Yeah, let me ask you a question now. What's your title?
Who going to do it?
What is your title?
Who is going to do it?
You, what is
technical director? We don't know that. So don't ask him on the question. There we go.
Who is going to do it? Does the federation have the capacity?
No, not right now.
By itself?
No, not right now.
Why not?
You don't have the people in place, man.
Put me there and people in place. Because you know why? You know why you know why? Because they're incompetent.
My brother,
that's the reason why.
You need clubs to be a force for it to work.
When you give them $6,000, how do you afford $6,000? What are you going to buy with that $6,000? Really?
When you're arguing, you have to be careful when you're arguing with me.
I won't answer the question, man.
6,000, 7,000, what's the difference?
Careful when you're arguing with me.
Well, you correct us and tell us how much money they give you.
I never tell you anything about any money. I say,
how much money they give you?
When you're arguing with me, you have to be careful. Why? You get very emotional. Calm down.
All right.
Calm down.
Mr. Gordon,
let's talk about the meeting now, man.
Mr. Gordon, how are you going to link the... Mr. Gordon.
Let's talk. Talk about the meeting, man.
Mr. Gordon.
Talk about what you guys are going to do and the mindset you're going into.
How are you going to link the meetings? I listen to your methodology. Hold on. Listen now while. Don't take one word. Let me tell you what I'm saying. You establish a methodology. You do it in stratas. And you're going to take information. How are you going to link from one to the next, to the next, to the next? Talk to me.
So it's a continual process. Right? So from the linkage, you then look at the similarities and the ones which are practical and applicable.
Who's going to make the decision? The FF, right? Continue. Yeah.
Right. So from there now, the information is then circulated again. And then there's a confirmation by all affiliates. Then you move forward to the process.
So you're going to have a synergy of the various things, then you're going to bring it to the affiliate for vote, then they're going to accept and move forward.
Not necessarily vote, but more a presentation of all the ideas.
Okay.
And then work based on what we agreed on.
Theon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Should I still around?
One question, Sammy, one question. And then, what have you learned? What did you learn today that you didn't know before?
What have I learned that I didn't know before? How to answer this particular question? I think there's an underestimation in the knowledge of the different affiliates as it relates to how to move the game forward. I think I learned that today. But this exercise is, for me, a lot less than what I can learn, but how to have everybody on board.
Facilitator.
That's what I think the exercise is really geared towards having a shared vision across the board with everybody.
So
not the FF come in and saying, Gato, you have to do this, you have to do that, whatever. It don't work that way, in my opinion.
So I appreciate. Well, let me ask you a question. You suggest that this approach is getting everybody on board?
It's not going to happen.
Is corporate SVG in the room?
It's not going to happen.
Was everybody on board?
Oh, God.
I think, right?
You want me answer you, Gato?
No, but that's two different. There's different roads though. Before that's two different roads.
He said everybody on board.
No, but you're talking about from the technical aspect and the system of play and the development processes for the whole football development incidents. I think that's what he meant.
But Hippo, those decisions should be made really, people shouldn't be voting on that.
He never said voting. He never said voting.
Right. Those decisions should be made by a nucleus of guys who really know the game. That's it. And then
so are you
have to trust these guys.
Are you saying the head of the technical committee they have today, the game, whatever your name is?
That's not what I said.
They have good understanding, so things will go right.
I said those decisions should not left to be anyone else. But
what's the function of the affiliates? What's the function of the affiliates? What's the function of the affiliates?
The function of the affiliates?
Yeah.
Well, really, you should set policy for them to follow. They're the affiliates.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
You're the administration. Listen, you're the administration. The reason why you're on a technical, listen to me. The reason why you're on the technical committee is because supposedly you know the game and what's best for them. Everybody doesn't know what's best for them.
Okay.
That's why you did. That's why you have a coach. That's why you have a technical director and a staff. Lead them and lead them right. Show them the right attitude. This is why I say, even though we don't have grass and whatnot, when you talk about a coach, let me finish this thought. If the national team more people were involved, your technical director, your coaching staff and whatnot, if they're able to present the right culture and model it for the affiliates, this is where you start.
Good point, Patrick.
This is where you start.
Good point, Patrick.
No, but that's where you start. That's why look at what I told you in my presentation. Culture is everything. And listen, let me say something. You see like Sammy Partner. No, let me finish my thought. You see like Sammy Partner, the detractors, you leave them out because they're holding you back. They will come on board when everything is rolling and doing well.
Patrick.
It's as simple as that. Don't let them hold you back.
Patrick. Having this meeting and the context in which I give you, is that a start towards creating the right culture?
Yes.
Of course. And you do it among yourselves. The technical part.
No, but you had the knowledge exude, man. You had the knowledge exude. And you could learn from paper and supplements. You had to pull everything in.
So how do we develop a question? How do we develop trust amongst affiliates towards an organization where we have been bashing and
in terms of the affiliates, you could get reactions from them. You could get ideas from them.
No, but you gotta make them feel like somebody too. You have to do that.
You have to call that information. Yes.
No.
They become a part of it if they can make a contribution.
Shared vision, everybody has to.
So the question is, who? So you're saying who could make a contribution? Who it is to make a contribution?
Anybody. The man in the rum shop can make a contribution.
So I just saying. So what we just doing? What we talking about?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
somebody talk about having affiliates make decisions and all this kind of stuff, or vote or thing. I understand
that was not said. That's what was said. That was not said.
I'm on here because I'm looking for information too. I'm looking to expand my knowledge.
Hippolyte asks about voting and I clarified.
Right.
There's not a voting thing.
It shouldn't be a voting thing.
Understanding.
Yeah.
Right. Come the hand.
Yes, okay. Gato's talking to me. Talk to me, Gato.
Well, I'm just saying that, I'm encouraging again to listen to what Theon is saying. We're not saying that there's no voting process here or anything. We just want general buy-in
We gotta bring all the component parts together at the table. Yeah, he established a focus conversation.
To add to that, Gato, I can't bring any corporate side when the members and the affiliates in the Angola want, and they can't carry out the mandate we want.
But
yeah, bro, go to that one. That go. I'm judging every day. I'm feeling anything I go on this is like a selling again. That was excellent.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's approach. If that's your approach, I'm fine.
You got all the images poor.
How do you build the image?
And that is the thing. I have
you gotta change from within.
And we are changed from within.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Anyhow, that's my approach. That's my approach. You're right. That's my approach.
You have a selling job to do too, you know.
Good response, Tian.
You've got a selling job to do.
It's approaching. You don't have to start from within.
No, but within means the whole affiliate, everybody, it become one organism. So everybody going to have little steps and contribution to the final product. So you don't feel the product is part of you, so then you go support it all along the way. So that's where the process of shared vision is.
Right. And that is what I'm saying, Gato. A national approach means all affiliates from the technical side is what I'm looking at.
Hold on, Tian. You scrap the system. Let's approach it from scrapping the system and starting over. Therefore, it becomes a national approach. There's no within anymore.
Kato, probably in 2 months you will get a wish. Because if we lose them 2 games, they're big, the whole thing got to scrap.
Come back with that again.
No, it's not just about, Sammy, it ain't just about these 2 games coming up here.
They have nothing to do with the 2 games.
We're talking about the future of St. Vincent football.
Listen to me.
The future of the game in St. Vincent.
I didn't take any negatives from the game. I thought they was reacting in terms when they making the breakout, like the second or third pass. But they was reacting. There wasn't a smooth flow. And I count 11 passes in one, and the number 14 misses on the sideline. That's what they call it. You understand where I'm coming from? So that's why you know that.
It's a lot more things I could say about the game analysis, but I don't say everything because I don't wanna. I don't want it to be about me. I want to hear more from people and what they saw and how they approach the game.
So what you said there, you saw that too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, listen to me.
Right. Sometimes we weren't confident that the actual play
would happen. Yeah, so watching to see what happens before you take off, right?
Yes, before you move.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I don't believe this thing is going to work. I tell you what. I tell you what.
This is an American talking here.
Yeah. I tell you why it's not going to work, right? The same people who we have on this committee, or whatever you call it, they've been there for 8 years and they do nothing. Okay? And I think you should separate yourself from them because when you take over, you have to have your own people. Trust me.
But if you can bring us in, Sammy, you're going to bring down the North American content then. You see how you plan and you ain't telling nobody.
How these guys set up the thing. Mr. Theon, take me advice. It's probably too late now. How they set up is a clique. You understand? And you just go in the head and center in this clique. You don't belong with them.
No. Can't do what you're doing. I can see development along the way. Just do what you're doing. Yeah, my brother.
What I want Tian to do is what the information that Tian started a tremendous program with the coaching education, right? He didn't get the support of the coaches down there. I am not sure why he didn't get the support from them.
But can I?
What makes you think I don't have the support, brother man?
No, wait.
Brother man.
Hey,
in a car.
But Patrick, on the way now. On the way now, Patrick.
Go ahead.
You got to talk, man.
In a sense, Tian, right? Did they license for these guys? Where are these coaches? Huh? Where are
they?
Can I just say something?
No, I'm speaking about the coaches now.
Because the culture, they only coming to get the uniform and all that kind of stuff.
No, that's not the case. So
wait. Hold up. So we have to go over, right? and do the class again.
Yeah, right? Until you're ready.
Until you're ready, exactly.
Yeah, until you're ready. If you ain't ready, you ain't get it.
Exactly, and in the class is the principle of play.
And that is what I'm saying. You ain't getting no license until you could do the work.
So I'm saying to myself, Theon, I want you to I want you to go down that road, Theon. Don't put this next thing yet.
Huh?
You cannot jump over the coaching education and start this thing. It's wrong.
Wasting resources, yes, Gato?
Yes, man. Time and resources. That's what we do.
No, we're not wasting time and resources. I don't see it as that.
Sammy, Theon and I are good. And ask him if I know anything we're doing. Look at me.
What are you doing?
So the information, hold on. The information.
The meeting them. I never ever had to until tonight. What's going on? And I have sources.
The information, hold on, what Theon is doing, is being matched in a specific corner.
It's a secret. It's a clique.
Exactly. Nobody knows about it. And nobody Theon knows that. Theon knows that.
And wait, that don't bash Theon, because if it wasn't Theon, we would never know. Because the other people that will never tell we. So at least
my brother. Hold on. There's a specific clique of people coming on here.
Oh my gosh.
Is there a specific clique of people who watch the program in general? How many persons you think watch this program?
How you know? We are foreign. You know Vincy? You tell me.
Okay.
You tell me now. Tell me.
All right. I could only assume from what I see and what my statisticians present to me, which is Hakim who's here. All right? I could only assume. Hakim, you wanna step in here? Hakim, you there? You wanna step in here and give them a little clue or idea? Brother, I went today to buy something for my father. As soon as I step out the car, a gentleman comes up to me. Love the program, I do come on, but as we watching it. Can you do a session on overlapping play for wing backs? And that has happened to me every single week from different people. So
fine.
It's getting there.
Fine. Tell me ask question.
The coaches are come on.
I can't help if coaching come on. This is remember.
But these are the guys who.
But Sammy, it's got to start somewhere, guys. It's got to start somewhere. Theon has presented, let me say this, Theon has presented the possibilities, and this is what we have to do. It's got to start somewhere. You know, that's what I'm saying. Don't give excuses.
Okay.
It can be done. A lot of knowledge, let me just say this, a lot of knowledge could be had here from just listening to all the different coaches talk about their ideas, right? Eventually, fellas who, they're not here now, but you never know. When Federation could start this, have Theon run it, make it mandatory for coaches.
I want hire Gato.
Because we know it works.
Yes, sir.
We have evidence that it works. We're trying to do it. And this is how it goes. So it's a positive thing. This is what St. Vincent needs.
How many
of the people, right, in that group are coaches? How many of us know what you're doing?
Who you talking about?
In other words, did you get representative from the affiliates to come to this process?
Eight. You have 8 people. 8.
Our personal group.
This personal group, we have every week we get an average of 12 to 13 persons. At best, we had 90 persons one time. Yes, sir.
Cool. How many of the members of crew are coaches? How many of them know what you have been doing?
Doing in terms of what? This?
Zoom.
No, not the Zoom.
Wow.
This new this symposium that you guys are doing now.
Just started today.
My brother.
Let me hear.
The Federation emailed all affiliates.
Theon Gordon, I work at Nemo, Theon. I work at Nemo. Okay. Nemo gives information to everybody. At the same time, you want to tell me I shouldn't give information about the volcano? No?
We said if you're integral part, you're supposed to
I understand totally what it is you're saying.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say the information is staying in certain areas. And you
trickle down.
And you have some good part of them, and you don't even say, well, this is what happening, fellas.
Mr. Stoddard, I was informed that we are going to be with the technical members from your club force. That is the statement that was made to me. And I followed that, sir.
Oh my God. Did he?
Yeah, but not only that, but Theon,
Yes,
Theon, that shouldn't be a secret. If you have a PR person,
why?
Okay, Mr. Gordon. Listen to what I'm saying, Theon. Listen.
Patrick, give me 1 second. Let me just put the pin in. Mr. Gordon.
Tomorrow, I will broadcast to everybody in my contacts that there is this happening. I will put it on Facebook.
Mr. Gordon.
This.
Mr.
Right?
Gordon, but for the affiliates, you should have a return check to know who's confirmed that they come in onto these. No, seriously. For the affiliates, like, so therefore, if when you run your list, you see like Hope ain't had a body, then you call down Hope and make sure somebody's available. I think that's if you
wait.
Hold on. This is the process. Let me just answer. The process I understand it to be is you're sent an email. You're then given a reminder, meaning a call is made to whomever that you have a particular session. You then indicate what is what, and then they move from there.
Okay.
So why can't have?
So that's done then, in other words.
But Hippo, wait a minute.
Yeah,
guys.
let me Theon.
Yes, Shadel.
This is an email. They also call and they requested the personnel that they wanted to be at the meeting, which is the head coach, or if the club has a technical director. Yes. So it is not the federation's fault, in my opinion, that Mr. Stoddard, if you're not aware of it, whoever is above you in Hope needed to notify you guys that this is happening. Whoever showed up there today should give you guys an overview of what took place. At least that's how.
Shadel, wait, hold up. Gato. Shadel, like you got the information already?
I am a part of Blossom. I'm in Blossom email. I received the email.
How you get it and Gato, the best team is ain't get it. Someone with the system.
Maybe he's not one of the person that
he's not privy for that information. I agree with you, ma'am. I agree with you.
Okay, all right. Hold on. Channel, let me respond. Let me just respond, right? Let me respond, right? See, I have various points. That's point one. Eh? 2 years ago, right? The FF had a session, and this is what the technical director said to me. Gato, I am going to start with the national coaches and technical people. Similar situation like what Theon just tell me.
2 years ago.
Hold on, Sammy.
We were going to have a coach from either somewhere overseas coming in to work with the coaches. The technical director told me that he's going to start with the national team coaches. Let them get the education, and then the national team coaches will come and teach us. I said, what craziness is this? And we're coming back again and make the same mistake when everybody could come to the fountain and get the information.
No, but I don't think that's a chance in this time. That's not a chance in this time.
I do understand that. And I have
you didn't say that, right?
Let Gato finish, please. Now we do.
You said, Theon said that his understanding is that he worked with the technical people within the team.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Likewise, the technical director told me 2 years ago, for a meeting, that they were going to have some training, that he's going to work with the national coach and the technical people in the team. Is that any difference?
The technical people from Hope. God.
From each affiliate, to be specific.
Okay, well, let me talk. Name the coaches at Hope.
Jesus Christ. Gato, listen. Again, the meeting invited the technical director or the head coach from Hope International. At this meeting, he would be privy to what the process is, what is expected. He would then have to go back to his members, discuss it, look at what we're talking about, disseminate the information, and then conform and then have another conversation again.
But if a team has 3 coaches, right? What the reason why we need to say, okay, 1 coach? When we try to build, when we try to get
Gato, it is COVID. That is why it's 1. That is why it's 1. That is why it's 1.
Gato, every Friday, Gato, your job is a water boy.
But Gato's pointing again.
Why is Gato point? Why is Gato point? Why is Gato point? Gato point is, hold on. Jebel, System 3, Hope, Partials, and I could list them.
Predators.
I could list the premier teams. Whenever the premier teams had a meeting, all the coaches that belong to those clubs should come.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah,
that's the point, right? That's the point, right?
Yes,
and from your perspective, the work what you doing, that could happen now.
No, but when Gato said,
wait, no, man, I thought when he done, he answer.
Yes, it could happen now.
It could happen now. Wait,
yes, it could happen now.
Jebel have 9 coaches. System 3 have 15. You have 7. What part of the game?
Honest, really.
The department made it to entertain you and shopping it.
Yes, really.
And I know you. Yeah, yes, Mr. Alexander. I don't answer you. I don't answer you.
Yeah, no, but he said there's a communication problem. He said there's a communication.
That's
I totally agree.
Okay, go on.
Can I ask a question, guys?
Go ahead, Alexander.
Okay. Okay. At this meeting seminar, it have to do with the identity of Vincy football.
Yes.
Okay.
The development of its. How do we move forward?
Right.
Okay. I just put something in the newspaper about the identity of Vincy football.
Lack of identity, Mr. Scrambler.
Lack of identity is an identity as well.
And I was told by
It is because it's a set you get grouped in a certain area. Continue, Scrambler.
I was told by certain personnel that I am being harsh. But seeing the national team play, it come back to the same thing. We do not have no identity.
Yeah, they know that. Everybody know that.
You cannot say we do not have an identity.
Why not?
Well, our identity is everybody's identity. Cake and chase.
Is that an identity, sir?
Huh?
Is that an identity, sir?
Yeah.
We don't have something for our own.
But that's
here. Let me go down the road. Can I want hold on the same development thing you're doing because I kind of like the idea, right?
How are you, Patrick, after do? Yeah.
Okay, go to Patrick go. I'll come again.
Well, yeah, the whole point is that we have an organization with a public relations department. When the federation does things, you don't have to go into detail. This is something important that the whole country needs to know, and it makes them look good. Why can't we have a press release every week going to all the media houses,
exactly,
and TV and things, and it's done.
And
you guys
can't listen to Patrick. You stay with.
I wasn't your publicity man at St. Andrews?
Yes.
This is what I did, right?
Patrick,
the stats, I took the stats, I prepared them and sent them out to all the
stats. With the stats,
what
listen to Patrick.
What is that to do?
Not listening.
What is that to do?
Wait. You are not listening to me. Patrick over the past 3 zones, patches have won me over. Trust me, because you are not listening. You are not listening to Patrick. Can't please take him out of the man thing, lady. But who they should go to the what you call it down there, the officer, the public relation officer, the PRO. So Tian, please listen to what these guys are saying. Take him.
No, we know that the federation suffering a little bit in their media context and promotions and that kind of stuff.
Really?
But I think it's something addressing.
Hippo, let me stop you there. Hippo, let me stop you.
I think it's something addressing internally.
Yes, but basically anyone who could write a release, just make sure it's coordinated and everybody knows what's happening and no false information is used. It doesn't tell you someone could do it, and it's not a hard thing to do. Just as long as you have it in place every Monday. Line up what you have for the week. Send a goddamn release out to all the media houses. They've got to publish it. They should have a column in the newspapers as well.
I agree, Patrick.
There should be a column in the newspapers of what's happening every week.
Shut up.
Mr. Hahn, are you saying internal matters to the affiliate should be released to the public as well?
Because yes, it's a general thing. You're not giving details. You're talking about bringing technical directors together to forge a way forward for St. Vincent football. That's all you have to say. You don't have to get into details. People need to know that.
Yeah.
Need to know that. Even I'm here. I need to know it. Who knows who will see it? A kid in England want to come home to play for St. Vincent. He said, boy, Vincy doing something. Let the people know. Otherwise, we keep wondering. When you don't know, we think the negative. Let us know what you're doing. It's that simple. Everybody does it. You don't need details. That's a positive thing, and you guys should be proud of doing it. So let us know.
So, guys, is there time frame and all that kind of stuff? That you guys want to accomplish this thing? I'll start it over.
Got to that, but you didn't answer. You didn't answer the
I answer.
No, you didn't give us a time frame.
There's a meeting today.
One the next day, the next day.
2025, gentlemen, 2025.
Saturday. All right. This process should be done before we play our next national team game.
Wow.
Seriously though.
Let me just say,
yeah.
Remember say if you had 9 coaches, what we good with the communicate? If you do that, then no, all the coaches could at least give the head coach their ideas, and that information could flow up.
But when the head coach that's what happening. That's all we giving you. We giving you the points to discuss in your group, and then you get back.
So there's a communication problem and got to go because you ain't hearing what happened.
Hold on.
Wait.
That this was a people-centered approach. So then why are you giving me the points to discuss?
Because you're going to bring your crew up to date.
So let's spin it.
And then you could get more feedback from your crew that could augment what was decided, and then you come back with Tian with a reverse version of what they said before. And
how would it change people if we ask the clubs to discuss the points and bring them to the table? How would that change?
So I say, so where Hippo just tell you.
You said you would give them the points to discuss.
Where Hippo just tell you. We just hear from Hippo.
Guys, listen to me now.
Wait, Tell him again.
Got to them a communication problem.
No, internet broke up.
Got to yours.
I'd like to ask a question about
hold on. I got to be clear first before I move on. Got to the process does not finish when Saturday come, when whoever comes Saturday. What is expected is that when whoever come from your group, they have a meeting with you as to how to move forward. How does each of
you that information,
how your group see it? Then your group gets back to the federation as it relates to those things.
Yeah.
But you and I know, if all of the people are in the room at the same time, the discussion will go
Nothing can get done.
But guys, listen to me now.
But Theon, I got a question for you.
Wait. Hold up. You're bashing, hope and things like that,
Yeah, it's Gatos, because I got to the...
So listen, I just want to see the topic again. Theon.
Wait, Patrick, you wait now.
Yeah,
if they have to have
off target, you're going off topic, Sammy.
No, I'm not going off target. If they have to have a style of play and, how things should be done, you look at the hope?
What? No. But listen, but here's my point. This is something that's going to be decided on in the next few months. It's an ongoing process. It's going to take a while.
But the man tell you by the end of the man that said 2 months, it's going to take 2 months to try to put it together.
Well, here's what I'm going to say now. Here's my question.
It have to be put together.
Okay.
Right? It have to be put together. Remember, right? What I say and what Hippo say. Hippo ain't gonna know what I tell the federation. Right? Everybody ain't gonna know what each person say.
Why?
Listen, man.
Let him finish.
Go on.
You would not know because you would be emailing us, however you would be communicating. So that process now where all the information is shared
come to the think tank.
Has to happen.
Right, but my point is it's an ongoing process. You're not going to fix.
What I'm saying. And that's
all right, but my next question to you, listen, Theon, you mentioned something about before the next 2 games.
No, that was just a joke. That was just a joke.
Okay, all right then. So don't joke like that because
he still has to put together. He still has to put together the information and collate them that come in from these 3 meetings.
It ain't gonna take a couple of months. Here's what I suggest too.
It's like what you said, Patrick. It's an ongoing process.
Listen, but I have to add to that. Just listen. If you guys listen,
all right,
here's the other thing you should do. Set up that committee to examine the games we have coming up in terms of our style. Because we've been watching our team play. Let's look for specific things that we do or don't do that needs to be done in these games coming up.
You do that right now because the coach's analysis is going to tell you where all the players come from and how they play. So maybe they're doing that right now.
You guys, we're talking over each other. That's why we're missing a lot of things.
No, but I'm saying they're doing that right now because the coach's analysis talk about all the teams and what they were doing and how they
Good. So it's an ongoing process. And we still have to look. We still have games coming up. We should also use the next Nations League, which only starts in September, because this is not something to be taken lightly. This is a philosophy you're going to be teaching from 12, 13 years old.
Yeah, I still
rush now and do that. Let me finish, Sammy. To rush now and do that. Look at the other games we have coming up. Look at at least the next Nations League, and with an eye for examining where we are, what we need, and put it into that document.
Guys,
this is an ongoing process because it's something you hand in. It's the Bible you're giving to all the coaches in the country. That's all I'm saying.
I think we just train out things there, and there's no science behind it, right? FIFA give us all of the information already, long time ago, and we could.
FIFA.
Okay, wait. FIFA
no. Listen, Sammy saying something different now.
FIFA and CONCACAF give us all the information that we need, right? And we haven't taken advantage of that. We haven't passed it down, and we gone into something else.
Coaching education, you talking about?
What?
No. It's everything. They show us how to.
So Sammy, here's what we should do. We should take that. Listen. Sammy, we should take that information and juxtapose it to what we're trying to do. In relation to how the team is playing now. Look at what people are asking, look at who's doing this, and look at what the other teams are doing to make them successful.
Okay,
but we have to spend some time from here on in looking at our team in relation to developing the philosophy. Before we watch and we talk, this ain't happening, that ain't happening. Now let's do it in terms of developing our philosophy, our identity. Give it a year or so.
Patrick, I wanna chime in here with Sammy. What did FIFA give the federation?
They gave us the structure of how to run.
They gave us the guidelines. Go ahead.
Of how to run a grassroots program, how to run our elite program.
How to link them too.
as a pathway to the senior team.
Yeah.
And it has been done tremendously. And we have ignored it as a club, as an executive, as an association, a federation. Right? And we have to get that first done before.
This is the starting point now to get all them things going.
We can't do two of them together.
What you mean? I don't understand what you mean.
The end.
Okay, you just said the information not being disseminated. What do you think this process is?
This practice
not giving the affiliates the information of what is required and what is gonna happen and what needs to be done.
But in the process of Kane shared decision because they want them to fight to the protest to get it buy-in. That's why I hear from what you're saying. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Sammy, they're gonna start to implement the processes, but they had to start from scratch. Just the only thing I didn't understand from
so what's the difference between what's the difference between CONCACAF program, all that information they give to us?
No, because you have to develop your own culture because you understand.
That's what I'm saying here, but that comes after.
No, but
okay, for example, right? I look at Grenada, right? Under 19 competition, under 13 competition. They have so much competition. You understand? We haven't reached halfway there yet. And we want to do all this kind of stuff.
So what we do? Start the competition next week?
We have
play the competition.
Okay, wait, hold up. We have to implement.
Who can manage them?
We have to implement.
The clubs are not in the position they're supposed to be to do these things. They're trying to do a renege on the whole thing, Sammy. Understand?
We haven't, listen to me.
But
listen. We have adopted the club licensing system, which is the most important thing of growing a club. We haven't adopted yet.
And I agree with you on that.
I mean, there's so much things before we do all of these things, our practices.
You got to be able to walk and chew gum, man.
Oh, Jesus.
No, but I agree with you with the club license.
I mean, let me tell you something.
We're going backward, forward.